craftandacuppa, and today I'm going to show you how to make the Hexi shirt. Now it's going to be made to measure, so you can use any yarn that you wish and just have fun with it really. This one's quite long. I've got it tucked in at the minute and done up, but I actually made this one to have it open and long to go with a pair of shorts. So it kind of comes about here, this one. The one I'm going to make today, I think I am going to make it a bit shorter, but don't worry because all the instructions will show you how to make it any length that you want it to be. Ah, my dog's now, Lenny's now, oh, hang on. I've just had a guest. Come here, you. We've had a little visitor. Because you hear me talking. Say hello. That's Leonard. Right, should we get on with it? Yes. Yes. Should we do it, Lenny? Let's do it. Oh, blimey. Okay, so things that you're going to need for this pattern. Well, the first one obviously is yarn. Now I am using my own hand-dyed yarn. This is all quite new to me and I've been having so much fun learning about the process. And I actually do have this linked in the written description of the video where you can order it from Etsy or do a dye to order on my website. So I'm going to be using 4-ply yarn, okay, with a 6mm hook. Now you might be thinking, what? Why is she using 4-ply with a 6mm hook? Well, the shirt that I was just wearing, literally a second ago, was made also with 4-ply and a 6mm hook. And it looked absolutely fine, didn't it? And I'll tell you what, it worked up pretty quick as well. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I have gone up 2 hook sizes. And I suppose it kind of helps to keep it drapey. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. If you want to stick with the recommended hook size, then that's fine. It's your shirt. You make it however you wish. But I have gone up 2, maybe 2.5 hook sizes. What do they normally say for 4-ply? It's like 3mm to 4mm hook. I've gone up to a 6mm. So if you want to give that a shot, if you've got some 4-ply sitting in your cupboard and you're like, do you know what? Yeah, I'm going to try that. Have a go. If you're thinking, oh, that might be a bit too gappy for me, then stick with your recommended hook size. Like I say, it's up to you. Buttons. If you want to put buttons on it, that is. Again, you don't have to if you don't want to. But I got my little buttons here from Amazon. I'll also link that in the description of the video. It is an affiliate link, so if you do make a purchase from that, a small amount will go to my small business. So thank you very much. Scissors, a little tapestry needle for weaving in those pesky ends. A measuring tape, you're going to need that because we're going to be measuring the garment. And stitch markers. Now hopefully that is everything, but yeah, who knows, I tend to forget things all the time. So this is made to measure and it is in US terms because that's just how I learned to crochet and it's stuck with me ever since. So because I'm using hand-dyed yarn, I'm now going to cake this up because each skein, even though they came from the same dye bath, each skein is going to be individual and different. So I'm going to cake mine up and have a look and see what we've got to work with. And then let's get on with it. Woohoo! Okay, so I have just put my skeins into cakes. I've got to be honest actually, they don't really look too different. But still, because it's hand dyed, just to be on the safe side, I am going to like alternate around with them if I remember which way I'm going, but yeah. Also, one thing I forgot to mention is that this has got fluorescent dye in it. I don't know if it's going to show up on the camera very well, but oh yeah, you can't see it too well, can you? Well, you can see a little bit, I suppose. Should probably need to make my room a bit darker, but I've got white blinds. Like, it's not going to get much darker than this. But yeah, it's got little speckles of fluorescent yellow and fluorescent pink. Okay, that's enough playing about with yarn. Let's get to it, shall we? Let's crack on. Okay, so to start this pattern, we need to make 2 hexagons. Now, we're going to be using the granny stitch. If you already know how to make your granny stitch hexagons, then you can skip to the next section and it's going to be time-stamped in the written description. The next section would be called something along the lines of measuring the arm length. So you can skip to that section. If you're not quite sure, then I'm now going to do a detailed video on how to do the hexagons. So let's get our yarn and put a slip knot. Well, I say this actually, I'm going to be starting with a chain and then slip stitching it together to form a loop. Now, if you prefer, you can do the magic circle. There's no right or wrong way of doing this. Okay, so if you want to do a magic circle, that's absolutely fine, but I'm going to start mine with a chain. So I'm going to chain 6. I'm going to come back to my very first chain and put a slip stitch through that chain. And that is going to create a circle. So we're going to be crocheting into the centre of that circle. Hang on, it looks a bit weird because I'm pulling on that bit, but yeah. In there, we're going to be crocheting. And also what we need to do is we need to crochet over this tail end so that when we get to the end of this round, we can pull on this and it's going to close up this circle that we're going to create in the middle. So that's really important if you're doing it the way I'm doing it, is to crochet over this tail. So we're going to chain 3 and that's going to class as our first double crochet. And then we're going to put 2 double crochets into the circle. Make sure you're going around that centre tail. So that's going to class as 3 doubles, what you've just done there. Even though the first one was your chain 3, that classes as your first double crochet. So now we're going to chain 2. And then we're going to put 3 double crochets into the circle. Remembering to crochet over that tail, the centre tail. 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to chain 2 again. And put another 3 doubles into that circle. Chain 2 again. Put 3 more doubles into the circle. Oh, now we're going to keep doing this until we have a total of 6 clusters, like 6 sets of 3 double crochets. So let me just stop a minute. I'm going to count how many I've got. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So I need to repeat what I've just done 2 more times. So that is, where are we? Chain 2 and put 3 doubles into the circle. Chain 2, put 3 doubles into the circle. And now I should have 6 sets of 3 double crochets. And that's what makes your hexagon. It has to have 6 sides. So let me go back and count. I've got 1, then my chain space, 2, chain space, 3, chain space, 4, chain space, 5, chain space, 6. So yeah, I've got the right amount of double crochets, clusters or whatever you want to call them going on. So to close the round, we're going to chain 2, create another chain space area, and then we're going to slip stitch to the top of the chain 3 from the beginning of the round. If I can get it in there. Lovely. Get in there right now. And that is round 1. Now, because we've crocheted over this centre tail, I'm just going to turn it round because that's where my tail end is. We can pull on this and that is going to close that circle in the middle. So just give it a big old tug like that. And that will help to close the circle. You might not get it fully closed, especially if you're using a thicker yarn, but you can always, when you come to weave in that end, finally, when you weave that end, you can also do that quite tight and that helps to close it too. So that's round 1. Okay, it's time for round 2. So if you are changing colour, I suggest, like I'm doing this, I'm turning my work after every round. And the reason I turn my work after every round is to stop the stitches from slanting to one side and the whole thing just kind of shifting, because it does do that. And also for, I don't know if this is the right word I'm looking for actually, consistency, that's the one. In my head I was thinking continuity, but then that's not right, is it? Consistency, because when we add length, we're going to be working in rows. So we're going to be going backwards and forwards. And in order to do that, you have to turn your work. So if you turn your work throughout the whole of the hexagons, then when you turn your work, when you come to add rows on the length, everything will look consistent. So that's the reason why I turn my work. I'm only saying that because I get asked so many times. But like I've said millions of times before, if you don't want to turn your work, then don't. I'm not going to come at you, I promise. You do you. Right, so what I was going to say is if you're changing colour, I would suggest to fasten off, turn your work, and then you can reattach your yarn in any of these corner chain spaces with a slip stitch. And then you are ready for round 2. I'm sticking with the same colour. So in order to turn my work when I'm sticking with the same colour, just get ready, where are we? So we're here, right? I'm going to turn my work and I'm going to slip stitch back into this chain space, like so. If I can get my blooming hook to go through it, there it goes. And now I'm ready to start round 2. So let's do it. Round 2, after all that chitter chatter, I do apologise. Chain 3 and put 2 double crochets back into that same chain space. Then we've got 3 double crochets here. We're going to skip over those and go straight to the next corner chain space. And we're going to put 3 double crochets in that corner chain space. Chain 2 and put 3 doubles back into the corner chain space. And then we're just going to keep repeating that same thing. Skip 3 double crochets, come to your next corner and put 3 double crochets. Chain 2. 3 double crochets back in the same corner. And then just keep going. Skip 3 doubles, come to your next corner, put 3 double crochets. Chain 2. 3 double crochets back into the same corner. And then, yep, just keep going and I'll meet you back here when we get to our last corner. Okay, so I have my final corner left and it already has a chain 3 and 2 double crochets in it. So what we need to do is just finish off that corner. So we're going to skip these 3 double crochets and then put 3 double crochets in this final corner. And then we're going to chain 2. And then we're going to slip stitch to the top of the chain 3 from the beginning of the round. And that's going to close the round. Well, that's not going to close the round. It's going to join the round together. Like so. So this is what it should be looking like. You've basically just worked into every chain space. And in every chain space, you should have put 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets. And then in the next corner chain space, 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets, and this is how it should be looking, like so. Right, now it's time for round 3. Remember, if you're changing colour, then you'll fasten off, turn your work, and then you can reattach your yarn in any of the corner chain spaces. Don't go in the gap in between the 3 doubles. Make sure you go in the corner chain space where you have the chain 2s. Any of them, it doesn't matter which one. I'm still sticking with the same colour. So I am going to turn my work and slip stitch straight back into this corner chain space. And now we're ready for round 3. So again, chain 3 and put 2 double crochets back into the same corner chain space. Now we're going to skip over 3 double crochets and come to this gap in the centre, and then we're going to put 3 doubles into that gap. 3 double crochets. That now brings us to the corner, so we're going to skip the next 3 doubles and come into the corner with 3 double crochets. Oh, I need some more yarn. So that's 3 double crochets, chain 2, and then put 3 more double crochets back into the same corner chain space. And then go again. So we're going to skip 3 doubles and come into this gap in the centre and put 3 double crochets. That then brings us to the next corner, where we're going to skip 3 doubles, come into your next corner and put 3 double crochets. Chain 2 and 3 doubles back into that same corner chain space. And then just keep repeating that all the way around. So that's skip 3 doubles in the next gap, skip 3 doubles, and then you're at a corner. So that's 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets. And then keep working your way around, and I'll meet you back here when we get to our final corner. Okay, so I've stopped just before my last edge. So I've now got to put 3 double crochets in the gap. And then I've got my final corner chain space, which already has the chain 3 and 2 double crochets in it from the beginning of the round. So I'm just going to skip over my 3 doubles, come straight to this corner and put 3 double crochets. And then chain 2. And then join it to the top of the chain 3 from the beginning of the round with a slip stitch. If I can wiggle it in there. There it goes. Oh, lovely old job. We're in. Okay, so that was round 3, wasn't it? 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Round 3. Okay, time for round 4. I think I'm going to stick with the same colour again, but I'm going to swap my yarn cake soon, so I will fasten off soon and attach a different one, because like I say, even though they've all come from the same dye bath, they can have different colours in each one. I'm really loving this. It's not coming through very well on the camera, I don't think, but looking at it here right now, it looks lovely. Little splashes of oranges and pinks and yellows. So I'm going to stick with this colour, and I'm going to see how I feel after round 4, whether I want to keep going with this one for a bit or whether I'm going to change to a different yarn cake. So we're going to turn our work and slip stitch into the chain space, the corner chain space. And And then I'm going to chain 3 and put 2 double crochets back into the same corner. Now we're going to work along this edge, so we've got 2 gaps this time. We're going to skip 3 doubles and come into the next gap and put 3 double crochets. Skip 3 doubles, come to the next gap and put 3 double crochets. I keep losing my tension for some reason. I think it's because my yarn, I've got thin yarn. I'm not used to working with thin yarn. Thin yarn and a thick hook. Love it. Breaking the norms. Right, we're now going in the next corner with, you guessed it, 3 double crochets. Chain 2. 3 double crochets. This is, once you get the hang of it, it's very, very mindless pattern. And I do, hang on, that's turned into a half double crochet. I do love my mindless patterns because you can just chill in front of the TV and or listen to an audio book. Well, I struggle with audio books because sometimes the narrator, like, I just think, oh, I can't, like, they're not saying it right. The only one I liked actually was Harry Potter, and it was Stephen Fry. I was like, yeah, I can totally get down with this. But other ones, I'm just like, oh yeah, I just can't get past the narrator's voice and get into it. I don't know why. Okay, so we're going to repeat that again. So we're going to skip 3 doubles, come to the next gap and put 3 double crochets. And then do it again. Skip 3 doubles, come to the next gap and put 3 double crochets. Which then brings you to the corner. So skip the 3 doubles, come straight into the next corner with 3 double crochets. Chain 2, 3 double crochets back into that same corner. And then, yeah, you're just going to keep repeating that all the way around. So skip 3 doubles in the next gap. Skip 3 doubles in the next gap, brings you to the corner, 3 doubles, chain 2, 3 doubles. So I will meet you around here when we get to the end of the row. Okay, I'm near the end of this round. So I literally just have my corner chain space to go in. So I'm going to put 3 doubles in the final corner chain space. Ooh. And then chain 2 and join it to the top of the chain 3 from the beginning of the round with a slip stitch. So that's round 4. Now you might notice after this round that your hexagon isn't laying as flat as what it was a minute ago. It's supposed to do that, so do not panic, okay? Once you form it into an L shape, it will then start to lay flat. And if you're like, what does she mean, form it into an L shape? Well, that's another thing, isn't it? It's how to fold them. I can show you quickly on this tiny little one, but what you do is you just get one edge and fold it together like that. And then I twist it round like this, and I literally grab these 2 sides and I run my fingers and line them 2 sides up, kind of give it a little bit of a shaky, shaky, shake, and then press it down. Now at the minute, it's not like a proper L shape. Everyone gets so het up about the L shape. Don't even worry about an L shape, honestly. Just know that that's how you fold it. To begin with, when it's small, it goes out like that. That's completely normal. As you start to add more rows, it's going to start to come a bit more like the L shape. So yeah, don't worry too much about what shape it is right now or anything like that. That's how it is. Right, round 5. I've decided that I am going to swap over to a different yarn cake. Now, because I have started with this one and I want my shirt to be consistent, I am going to fasten off and I'm going to quickly make up my second hexagon in this cake that I've done here. I'm going to make it up to the same round, which is round 4. So I'm going to have 2 hexagons that I've made from the same cake. So literally this is going to happen in about 1 second for you, but it's going to be a few minutes for me. So I'm going to quickly whip up my second hexagon to match, and then I'm going to swap over to this. I'm going to do round 5 with you, and then I'm going to let you go on your little merry way. So that's right, yeah? That sounds like a plan. Right, so I have made up my second hexagon using this yarn cake. I'm now going to put this to one side and I'm going to swap over to this one. And now I've looked at it, it's really hard to tell, but I can see that this one is a little bit darker, a bit more pinkier than this one. So I'm probably going to do maybe another 4 rounds in this. Who knows? Right, I'm going to put one of these to one side while I continue working on this one. So I've fastened off now. So round 5, I'll do a little bit of round 5 with you, and then yeah, you just got to keep repeating yourself over and over until you get to your right measurements. But we'll worry about that in a minute. So let's just have a quick look at round 5. I'm actually using a different yarn this time, so I'm not turning and slip stitching back into the chain space. I'm going to turn my work and attach my yarn in any corner with a slip stitch. If I can get it on there. Right, round 5. Chain 3 and put 2 double crochets back into the same corner chain space. I need to get a bit more yarn going. Let me get a bit of yarn like so. Okay, so now we have more gaps to go in. As you can see, our edges with each round are getting longer. So all we have to do is skip the first 3 double crochets and go in the next gap and put 3 double crochets in there. And then repeat that all the way across. Skip 3 doubles, come to your next gap and put 3 double crochets in the gap. I've got to do it again. Skip 3 doubles, come to the next gap and put 3 doubles in that gap. And that has now brought me to the corner. Oh, I've got a bit twisted. And now I'm at the corner. So in the corner, we are putting 3 double crochets. I'm definitely seeing more pinks in this one. So yeah, 3 double crochets, chain 2, and then 3 double crochets back into the same corner. And there we have it. I don't know if you can see that actually or not, but that is actually got more pinks and oranges going on. Right, so you're going to keep repeating this all the way around. 3 doubles in all the gaps, and then 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets in every corner until you get to your final corner, which already has your 3 doubles in it. So you're going to put 3 more doubles in that final corner, chain 2 and slip stitch to the top of the chain 3 to join. And you're going to keep repeating these rounds, turning your work after each round until you reach the next measurement, well the first measurement actually, which is going to be arm length. So you're probably thinking, what the heck does that mean? Just hold on a few minutes, well not even that's going to be a second for you. I'm going to whip up my hexagon until I reach my arm length and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. So literally just hold tight for about a few seconds and you're going to see exactly what I mean. So I'm going to keep adding rounds until I get to my arm length and show you how we measure that arm length measurement. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I've been working up both my hexagons and now it's time to have a look at the sleeve length. Now you're probably thinking, what on earth is she talking about, the sleeve length? I'm now about to show you. So as you can see, my hexagons, they don't lay flat at all when I've got them out like this. That's exactly how they're supposed to be. So now we need to fold them so that we can measure the sleeve length. Now is a good time as well to pick what side you want to be, the wrong side and the right side. Now what I tend to do, I probably should have said this a little bit earlier on, but I got a bit carried away, is I always leave my centre tail on both hexagons and I always make this my wrong side. So I know, oh yeah, that's the wrong side, and oh yeah, that's the wrong side as well. So I'm going to fold mine at the minute so that the right side is going to be facing me. So with this centre tail, because that's my wrong side, so this is now my wrong side facing me, I'm just going to find just any edge, doesn't matter which one, and I'm going to fold it in on itself in half, like this. And now I'm going to kind of twist it around, and I'm going to run my fingers along both of these side edges and match those up together, like so. Then I just kind of give it a little shaky, 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 and then lay it out flat. And this is what we have. So when I say sleeve length, that is this section here. So get your tape measure, find the size in the written description that you are working with. I am doing a size small, and mine says that my sleeve length needs to be 14 centimetres. So let me take out my tape measure. If you prefer working in inches, it's just as simple as flipping over your tape measure. Find 14 centimetres and just give it a little flip, and then you can use inches instead. That's simple. So mine is pretty much bang on 14 centimetres, which is awesome. If you can't quite get that exact measurement, don't panic, because you know we're using different hooks and different yarns, and it's made to measure, so you might not get that exact measurement. I would suggest, if you can't get that exact measurement, to go over it a little bit, because at the end you're going to be folding up the sleeves anyway. And then if you think to yourself, well, I kind of want my sleeve length to be a bit longer, well then you can make it longer. That's fine. That's absolutely fine. Make it as long as you want it to be. But if you add more around here, make sure you don't exceed the next measurement, which is, what is it? What is it? I'm pretty certain it is the armhole depth. So my armhole depth is 19 centimetres. My sleeve length is 14 and my armhole depth is 19. So the armhole depth is this section. So if I thought to myself, do you know what, I want my sleeve to be a bit longer than that, it's quite hard to tell at the minute because it's going to be a bit oversized. So even if you hold it up to yourself, it is going to look a bit on the short side. But by the time we're done, it's going to come out a bit further than what you actually expect. And there's always different ways to adjust it. So if you've actually made the shirt and put it together and you think, oh, I'm still not quite sure about my sleeve length, I want it to be a bit longer, then once it's all done up and everything and seamed, you can literally just add more around this edge. It's that easy to adjust, okay? So, getting back to the sleeve length. Mine says 14, and I am bang on 14 centimetres. So, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to get my other piece, and I'm going to fold it to the opposite way of this. So, I've got my right side facing here. I'm just going to pick any edge, doesn't matter which one, fold it in on itself, run my fingers along this edge right here, give it a little flicky, flicky, flicky. I'm just going to turn it around and then it's going to be the mirror image of this side. So they both have the same amount of rows on each hexagon. So I don't need to measure this side because I know it's 14 centimetres. Now you're going to need a couple of stitch markers, because we do not want to add any more rows or rounds, whatever, to this section right here. So I'm just going to mark that edge out basically. So we're going to need 4 stitch markers in total. We're going to place 1. If I just fold this piece back, oh hang on, my edge is caught. Fold that piece back, I'm going to put 1 stitch marker in this corner. Just leave that folded over a minute. And then I'm going to put 1 stitch marker in this corner. And I'm going to repeat the exact same thing on the opposite side. 1 stitch marker in this corner. Just fold that back. 1 stitch marker in this corner. So now what we're going to be doing is working in rows. We do not want to add any more length on this edge between these 2 stitch markers. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be joining, because we've been turning our work after every round, for me, where does that mean I need to join in? Here. So there's my 2 stitch markers. That is my sleeve. This is my sleeve section right here. So we're going to be adding rows from now on. We're not working in the round no more. We're going to be adding rows from here. And we will be working on 5 sides rather than 6 sides. Keep going all the way around here and all the way around here. And once we get to the next stitch marker, we're going to stop and we're going to go for the next row and we're going to turn our work and then we're going to work back and blah, 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 blah. And we're going to keep going until when you fold it again, remember to pair these sides now because that is your sleeve length. We're going to keep adding rows all the way around until the armhole depth measurement reaches the measurement that you're working towards. So for me, like I said, I'm doing a size small. For me, that's 19 centimetres. Well, obviously at the minute it's at 14 because that's where I've stopped from a sleeve length. If you're thinking, what on earth is she talking about? Don't worry, I'm literally about to go through it with you. I say literally. I'm in my dressing gown, by the way. All the kids, well, not all the kids, my son's upstairs. My hubby's just quickly took the girls out to go buy a football each because he's away for the weekend, only one night, just doing a little golfing thing. And so I was like, oh, quick, jump on here because it's the weekend and I can't work on this until I've done some recording. So I was like, oh, quick, jump on here. So yeah, that's what I'm doing right now so I can get some more stitches in. Right, let's start adding rows to 5 sides now until we reach the armhole depth measurement. So like I said, for me, that's 19 centimetres. So I've got a few rows to add on to mine. I'm attaching a new yarn because I did fasten off with my other, when I got to my measurement, I fastened off. I don't think I mentioned that, but I did. I fastened off so I didn't get myself all confused as to how I was folding it. It's just easier. It's just a couple of ends you're going to have to weave in. Just makes it a bit easier. So because we are turning our work after every row, I need the last row of my stitches to be wrong side facing. Let me just zoom in a little bit. Yeah, I need the last row to be wrong side facing. I've still got this folded so it's right side facing as well, but that doesn't really matter too much at the minute. So I'm going to open this out. We are not crocheting on this section. This row is the no-go area. So let me have my stitches so they are wrong side facing. Let me find the first stitch marker, which I'm going to be working on because I'm right-handed. This is going to be my bit where I'm going to start and work along my 5 edges. Hope I'm explaining this okay. I know I'm a bit like, I feel like I'm repeating myself a lot, but hopefully I'm explaining it okay. Right, I'm going to go in that corner with my stitch marker and I'm going to put a slip stitch in there. I'm going to chain 3 and we're just going to be putting 1 double crochet in the same corner chain space. We're not putting 3 in this one because it's on the edge. We're just going to put 2. Right, we're going to go back to our normal stitch pattern now, where we're skipping the 3 doubles and putting 3 double crochets in all the gaps. Everything right now is exactly the same as what we've been doing. So 3 double crochets in every single gap, and then when we get to the corner, it's going to be exactly the same. 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets. It's just the edges of the rows that we need to get the hang of, because row 1, where there will be two stitches at the end of the row. Row 2 will have 1 stitch at the end of each row, or I say at the end of each row, at the end of the row. Row 3 will have 2 stitches at the end of the row. Row 4 will have 1. We're just going to be alternating at each end between 2 stitches, 1 stitch, 2 stitches, 1 stitch. If you followed along with some of my granny stitch tutorials, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But if this is new, you might be like, oh, this is so confusing. But I will timestamp it. When we get to row 3 and row 4, they're the rows that get repeated. So I will make sure that I timestamp those 2 rows in the written description so you can keep going back and using those as guidance. So I'm just going to get to one corner, my first corner. I'm still putting 3 doubles in every single gap. I love this yarn as well. I keep getting little pops of pink, bright pink and yellow. I love yellows and oranges. I never knew I had a favourite colour until I started crocheting, and now I know it's yellow and orange, which is a bit of a strange colour, but burnt orange is where it started. Now it's gone into like peaches and bright orange. Yeah. Okay, so I'm at my first corner. Everything's completely the same here. We're just putting 3 double crochets in here. 1, 2, 3, then we're going to chain 2 and put 3 double crochets back into the corner. So I've just done 1 edge and 1 corner. So keep going all the way along. You should be doing 5 edges now, not 6. And when you get to that second stitch marker, I will meet you back here and show you how to end row 1. Okay, so I have just crocheted along 5 edges and I am now at my 5th corner, which has also got the stitch marker in it. So we are going to skip over the last 3 double crochets and we're going to put 2 double crochets in this final corner chain space. I'm just going to quickly readjust my stitch marker because I've kind of got it through a stitch rather than the corner. That's better. That's better. Okay. Right, so in that final corner chain space with your second stitch marker, we are just going to put 2 double crochets and that's it. And that is row 1. Oh, I'm getting all caught up on my other end. So that means, just to recap quickly, we have crocheted along 5 edges. Okay, and we have literally left this edge here because that is the sleeve length, and now we are adding more length to our armhole depth. It doesn't really look too different, mine, because I've only added 1 row. But if I do a measurement, you will see that this side here, because we've not crocheted along this edge, is still at 14 centimetres for me. My armhole depth is now at 15 centimetres. It's kind of telling me I probably need to add about 4 more rows to get to my 19 centimetres. That's okay. Okay, row 2. Zooming in. I've got a bit of sunlight coming through, which is a bit annoying. Right, row 2. We're just going to have 1 stitch at the end here of each row. On row 2, it has 1 stitch at each end, not 2 that we've just done. So what we're going to do is chain 3, which is classed as our first double crochet. If you prefer to do stand-in stitches or any other sort of stitch to start you off, then feel free. I'm just doing a chain 3 because it's just nice and simple. Right, turn our work around and we're going to come to the very first gap. Oh, that's sunlight. I'm trying to hide it with my arm. I love the sun, but my desk doesn't. Okay, so we've got 2 stitches here. We've got a double crochet here. We're going to go to the very first gap and we're going to put 3 double crochets in there. And we're now good to continue doing our regular stitch pattern of skipping 3 double crochets and putting 3 doubles in all the gaps. Oh, hang on a minute, I've not finished that stitch. Doesn't help that I'm holding my arm at an awkward angle trying to hide this beautiful sunshine that's just appeared. We need the sunshine. I'm in the UK, it's June, and all that keeps doing is raining. Like, what? No! Every year it does this to us. Every year. So I don't really need to keep showing you what I'm doing because I'm just going and doing exactly the same of skipping 3 doubles in all the gaps. And then the same thing when you get to your corner, 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets. And I'll meet you all the way back here when we've done 5 sides and we're back to where the other stitch marker is. I keep my stitch markers in because it's just a handy guide until you start getting extra length where you probably won't need the stitch markers anymore, but keep them in to begin with as they're a handy guide where you're like, yeah, I need to stop. Oh, I've left my phone on. Okay, that's fine. It's probably my husband. Oh, here we go. Loads of messages coming through. Right. Sorry everybody, how unprofessional of me. Right, I'll meet you back here at the end of row 2. Okay, so I'm right near the end of row 2. I've got 3 doubles left and a gap and then 2 stitches, 2 double crochets. So I'm going to continue to skip my 3 doubles and go in this final gap and put 3 double crochets. Now we started this row with just 1 stitch at the beginning of it, so that's how I need to end this row. So I've got a double crochet here and the chain 3 from the beginning of the previous row. So I'm going to skip over that double crochet and I'm going to put 1 double crochet in the top of the chain 3 from the beginning of the previous row. A little tip, I like to just kind of spin it towards me and go straight through the centre. I say that and it hasn't worked. Isn't that funny? Oh no, I can't get it in. Am I in? No, I can't get it in. Let me flip it up then and try that instead. No, I can't get it in. Oh my gosh, why are you doing this to me right now? I flip it and I go through the little V. Hang on, here we go. We're in, everybody. Panic over. Right, we're just going to put 1 double crochet in the top of the chain 3. And that's row 2 done. So remember to keep checking your measurement. So let's fold it again. So we've still got our stitch markers in, hopefully. So we know that that's the edge that we're not crocheting along. So that's the edge that gets folded together. Don't worry at the minute if it's right side or wrong side. That really does not matter. Let me just get these sides and just smooth those out and give it a little shaky. And let's just make sure that it's lined up nicely. So my measurement at the minute is about 16. So I am literally growing a centimetre every time I put a new row on. So remember to keep checking this armhole depth measurement right here so that you don't exceed it. So mine's 19, I'm at 16, so I probably do need about 3 more rows. So yeah, next row is row 3. Row 3 is the row that I'm going to also put in the description as a timestamp, row 3 and row 4, because from here on out we are just going to keep repeating rows 3 and 4 until we reach our desired measurement. Right, this now brings us to row 3 and then row 4, and these are the 2 rows that we're going to keep repeating in order to keep adding these the length, whatever you want to call it, the extra measurements. So row 3. I will timestamp both of these as well, just in case you're like, what does she do again? I can't remember. Right, where am I? The weekend's been and gone now, and I'm a bit like, oh, I can't remember where I was at with recording. Can't get my words out right either. Here we are. Right, row 3. So row 3 is going to start with 2 stitches and end with 2 stitches. So we are going to chain 3, turn our work, and put 1 more stitch in the bottom where the chain is. So that classes as 2 stitches. Now we're going to continue doing our normal, skipping 3 double crochets, putting 3 double crochets in every gap, and putting in every corner 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets. So I'm going to go ahead and just keep adding my 3 double crochets in every single gap, and I'll meet you back at the end of this row and show you how to finish it. Okay, so I am right at the end of row 3. I've got 3 double crochets here and the chain 3 from the beginning of the row, of the previous row. So what we're going to do is we're going to skip over these 3 double crochets and we're going to put 2 double crochets in the top of the chain 3. So I'm just going to wiggle that towards me, just give it a little twist and go straight through the top. Hopefully I go in it this time. Yeah, I'm in. So I'm going to put 2 double crochets in the top of the chain 3 from the beginning of the previous row. And that's row 3. Now before I start row 4, I'm just going to quickly measure where I'm at. So I'm going to put my 2, my edge with my 2 stitch markers on it, fold that together, run my fingers along this edge, give it a little shaky, shaky, shaky. It's a good idea just to keep an eye on your measurement. Make sure that's all lined up. So armhole depth down here, remember, I am going for 19 centimetres. I am now at 17 centimetres. Okay, let's get on with row 4. So row 4 is the row that only has 1 stitch at the beginning and at the end of the row. So nice and easy. Let me just get a bit of yarn. We're going to chain 3, which will class as the first stitch, turn our work, and then we've got a double crochet here and a gap. Then we're going to come straight into that very first gap and put 3 double crochets. And then you're just going to continue your normal stitch pattern of 3 double crochets in every single gap, and 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets in every corner. So I'll meet you back here at the end of row 4, because you don't need to see me doing all this again, do you? So I'll meet you back here at the end of row 4. Right, I'm right near the end of row 4. I can see 3 double crochets, 1 more gap, a double crochet and the chain 3 at the end. So I'm going to put my 3 double crochets in this final gap. Like so. And then that leaves me with a double crochet and the chain 3 from the beginning of the previous row. So I'm going to skip over that double crochet and I'm going to come to the chain 3 and put 1 double crochet in the top of the chain 3. If I can get in there. Wiggle it round and get it in there. I don't know why, but I seem to be struggling with these at the minute. Get in there right now. Get in there right now. Stop playing me up. I can see the hole I've got to go in. Maybe because I'm using a bigger hook. I don't know, but it's just playing me up. Right, I'm in. Right, 1 double crochet in the top of the chain 3. And that is row 4. So all you're going to keep doing is repeating rows 3 and rows 4 until your armhole depth measurement reaches the same measurement as what is written in the written description for the size you're working towards. La-di-la-di-la. So as you already know, probably 500 times I've said it, I'm doing a size small and I've got to try and reach 19 centimetres for my armhole depth. As you can see, this is how much it's grown so far since we've put our little stitch markers in. So I am at 18. So definitely, I think one more row for me and I'm going to be there. So once you do reach this measurement, you will then need to get your other hexagon and repeat the exact same process for that one. And you should have your stitch markers in here. So you know that you're not going to go along that edge, but you are going to go along the edge with the stitch markers in it. And remember to make sure that you attach your yarn with your stitches on the previous row, the wrong side facing, so that everything will look consistent. So for me, that would mean I'd have to start in this end. There we go. So add the same amount of rows on your second hexagon as what you had to add for your first one. And I will meet you back here then for the next section, which will be working the body width, adding more to the body width. Unless you're a size extra small, I don't think you actually need to, because your armhole depth is the same measurement as your body width. So you actually get to skip a step. It's all right for some, isn't it? Okay, I'll meet you back here for the next section. Right, I now have both of my hexagons made up to my correct armhole depth and measurement. There's one. I'm just folding it so the right side is facing me. I don't really think it matters too much at the minute, but that's just how I've been folding it throughout. So there's my two stitch markers there, lined up. And then I've got my other side. Where are we? Yeah. Just line that up like that. Can't quite fit it in the screen. I don't even know where my tape measure is. So mine was 19 centimetres. And that's exactly where I'm at, is 19 centimetres. So what we need to do now is we are not going to be adding any more on these two sections. Okay, so what I'm going to do, let me just move that over there a minute. I'm going to take my two little stitch markers out here. I'm going to keep one of them. I like using the bigger ones, so let me get a bigger one. And I am going to pop my stitch marker through both of this top corner section of my sleeve. So it's going through both of them. This is just a little reminder to myself that this isn't getting done. This bit right here is not getting done. I'm going to get another stitch marker. I'm going to use this one I've got here at the minute. And I'm going to put it through this corner here. And then I'm going to get another stitch marker. Let's get my little bag out. All these stitch markers. But I mean, you don't have to use the stitch markers, but for me, they're just a handy guide. When you get to them, you're like, right, I'm done. Because you are doing lots of different sides and corners and blah, blah, blah. And you can get a bit lost sometimes as to what you're actually doing. So I'm just going to peel this little bit back. Peel this little bit back and pop a stitch marker in this corner right here. I'm going to do the exact same thing for this piece while it's laying here as well. So I have no space, but that's okay. So I'm going to take these two out. Oof. Like so. And then I'm going to use one stitch marker to join these two pieces together at the top. That is basically like your sleevey part, isn't it? And then I'm going to put one in this bit, in this corner. Peel that back, get one more stitch marker and pop it in here. I've just done all that, right? And basically I should have said before I did all that, extra small, you actually can skip all this part, because your measurement, what we're going to be doing now is measuring, let me just get that level, this bit to this bit. So we are now measuring this section. Okay, so I'm doing a size small. My measurement says 20.5 centimetres. Now I'm already at 19 because I've just done that, and it should be the same measurement that way, which it is, 19 centimetres. Now if you're doing the extra small, your armhole depth measurement was 18 centimetres and your width measurement is also 18 centimetres. So you don't need to add any more. You can move to the next section. Hooray! Everyone else, we need to add more rows to make our width wider. So what we're going to be doing, where we've put these stitch markers here, this is going to be the starting point. Well, obviously you need to make sure that your stitches are wrong side facing. So I don't know, I can't even figure out. I'll be turning mine round and working around here. But just for argument's sake, let me just show you. We are now going to be going from this stitch marker, and we're going to be going all the way down here to this corner. We're then going to be going along here, which is the bottom. It's going to add length to this corner. And then we're going to come straight back up here. Okay? And we're going to keep going backwards and forwards along those three sides, is it? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, we're just doing 3 sides now. So you're going to keep doing that until you reach your width measurement. But, and there's a but here, because I won't be showing this on the camera because I'm doing a size small. If you're doing a larger size and you think to yourself, this is getting a bit long, I kind of don't want it to be this long, because in my personal opinion, right, when you put these together and sew them up, my personal opinion, and it might not be yours, but I feel that once it's been joined together, you kind of need to add a few rows along the bottom to stop this back bit pointing out, because it does do that. I find it does that with mine. If I like to have a cropped one, it does poke out a bit, and I like to have a few rows along the bottom, which it just kind of brings it in a bit. So if you're making yours and you think this is getting a bit long, I kind of wanted it short, but I know I kind of want to add a few rows on the bottom just to stop this bit sticking out, then this is just going to get so confusing, I know. But you can miss out adding to the bottom length. I know it's going to be awkward, but basically what you would do is you would keep adding length just on one side, and then you'd have to make sure that you added the same amount of length on this side as well until you reach the proper width measurement. You don't have to do that, but that's just a suggestion if you wanted to keep this bit shorter. You just don't work on that bit basically, but then you would have to keep fastening off and doing all the edges and stuff. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. But anyway, right, let's get to it. I'm going to put one of my hexagons to one side, and I now need to get to 20.5 centimetres. For me, that's probably going to be about 1 or 2 rows, because I seem to be moving up in centimetres. So I need to decide, do I want to keep it at 20 or do I want to go to 21? That's probably what I'm going to have to decide. I might go to 21 maybe. I don't know. I'll decide when I get there. Right, let's do it. So that was quite a bit of chat, that was, wasn't it? But I'm just showing you different ways that you can modify it, basically. I'm a little bit upset that that part isn't going to be in... Oh, you don't know if you can see it. Look at those colours. And that's not even going to be in my stitches because it's going to be on my tail. Ooh. Right. Put that on there like that. Right, the plan is we're going to be working on 3 edges. Oh, I've got a blooming end there that I've missed. Never mind, it's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world. Right, so let me just work this out. Obviously, I want my stitches to be wrong side facing. So I need to flip mine around and go from this edge. Yeah, my last row of stitches are wrong side facing me, and that just helps keep with the consistency of how I've been turning. Because you can kind of see, I don't know if you can see that, kind of like little lines. That's where we've been turning our work. That's the kind of effect it gives. And I like to keep that consistent because when I add rows on the bottom, I am going to be working backwards and forwards in rows, and it just helps keep the whole thing looking consistent. So, where are we? Just going to be doing exactly the same as what we already have been doing. Let me just zoom in a little bit. So I'm going to join our yarn in the corner with a slip stitch. And then chain 3. We're going to put 1 single crochet back in that same corner chain space because this is the row where we have 2 stitches at the end. And then we're just going to go back to our normal pattern of skipping 3 double crochets and putting 3 doubles in every single gap. And then when you get to the corner, you're going to be doing 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets. So yeah, basically you're just going to be repeating them rows again, 3 and 4. It's exactly the same as that, but we're going in between new stitch markers. We're only doing 3 sides. So I'm going to let you get on with it. I will actually show you my first row just to confirm what I've done, but you don't need to see me putting 3 doubles in all the gaps, do you? And blah 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 blah. And yeah, so yeah, basically just keep repeating what you've just done when you added more to your armhole depth. Rows 3 and 4. Okay, I am right near the end of where my stitch marker is. Well, I'm literally where my stitch marker is. I'm just going to put my 2 double crochets in that corner chain space. And that is row 1 for me. So I'm just going to have a quick measurement because I haven't got that much to add on mine. Let me just get a good old bit of yarn so I don't pull out any stitches. Right, so the reason we put that stitch marker in between 2 parts is so we know exactly where we're folding for the sleeve. So there it is. There's the bit where I put that stitch marker. So I need to fold it here. Let me get my fingers along this little edge. Give it a little shaky, shaky, shaky. Oh, just got stuck. Let me just zoom out a minute. So as you can see, we have added a row going all the way down this edge, all along the bottom length, and then coming back down this edge. So this part is now wider than this part and this part. Right, where's my tape measure at? So I need to get to 20.5. I reckon this is going to be 20 if my calculations are right. Yeah, I'm at 20. Do I go to 21 or do I stay at 20? Because I ain't going to get 20.5. That's not happening for me. Do I do another row or do I leave it as it is? I can't decide. Why is it hard? It's not really a hard decision. Like, do I want it to be a little bit looser? Yeah, go on then. I'm going to do one more row, I think. Why not? It's oversized anyway, but yeah. I'm just going to do it. Okay, row 2. Exactly the same as what we've already been doing. Oh my gosh, what's going on? I've got a massive loop here. So this is the row where you have just 1 stitch at the end of each row. So you go chain 3, turn your work. I don't know why I'm showing you again because you probably know. And then 3 doubles in all the gaps. So I'm going to let you crack on and keep adding your rows back and forth because I'm sure by now you're a pro because you've just done it twice on the armhole depth. Ooh. And I'll meet you back here when you have the correct amount of width on both of your panels. So do it on both of them, yeah? And I'll meet you back here for possibly back infill rows, I think it's going to be next. Or it might be seaming the sleeves, actually. It might be seaming the sleeves. Okay, so I have done both of my panels. I'm calling them panels now for some reason. I don't know what I've been calling them throughout. But I only had to add 2 rows onto each of mine. And I am now ready to seam the shoulder seam. So what I'm going to be doing, because at the minute I've got these folded so these are right side facing, I am going to fold them so that they're wrong side facing. So I've just got to flip it out like that. Oh, what's that bit of yarn come from? That's the bit I need to use in a minute. Where are we? I'm getting myself all kerfuddled. I've kept my little centre tail in the middle, so I know that that is my wrong side. Okay, I'm going to do the exact same thing for this one, because if I don't, and I'll probably forget and go straight onto it and be like, oh, I've done it the wrong way. Oh dear. So let's just flip that. So both panels are now wrong side facing. So what we will be doing is we are going to do a single crochet seam. It's going to be on the inside, okay? We're going to go right down this edge, and then we're going to start working a single crochet all the way around the sleeve edge, so that when it is the right side facing and you fold it, you fold your sleeve up like that to make that cute little shirt look, you're going to have a nice single crochet row facing the right way, okay? That's why I'm doing a seam on the inside. And then when I fold my little bit out, like that's going to be on the right side, you're going to see the single crochet seam facing the right side. Does that make sense? One thing I'd suggest to do before we do this, because if you want to make an adjustment, then you can. So I'd probably suggest just to try it on. Obviously, I've took my, no I haven't. You might need to use some stitch markers just to hold it in place. And then you can just put your arm through and try it on and see if you're happy with where your sleeve sits when it's folded. If you're like, do you know what, actually I want it to be a bit longer, then you would just, I'm not going to do this on camera, but I'm just making a suggestion. I would suggest just to seam this part here, fasten off, and then you can add rows in whatever stitch you want around this edge to make it longer. But I'm happy with the length, so I'm going to do it all in one, seam around here, and then go round this edge, all in a single crochet. So let's do it. Okay, so if you did an extra small, you are not going to have these rows where we've just added the width. So you are basically just going to attach your yarn. It's going to be in the corner chain space for you. Yeah, nice and easy. You'll just put one single crochet in the corner chain space, and then you can go in every single stitch with your single crochets. Obviously joining them together, by the way, because we're seaming, so go through both of your corner chain spaces. Everyone else, we have got some rows to go around first. Now I call these edges either DC bars, but really they're double crochet bars, but I'm so used to writing out patterns and calling them DC bars that might slip out a few times, and then you know what I'm on about. But basically it's just the first stitch of each row. We're going to be working around those stitches. So let me get my yarn ready. Just going to be doing a single crochet seam, nice and easy. Making sure we go through, I'm going to call this now the front panel and the back panel. So I'm going to go through the front panel first, pick it up. I'm literally going around that double crochet bar, picking up the back piece, and I'm going to do the exact same thing. If you like, where is it? Just like give it a little wiggle with your finger, because that one for me is a chain 3. So it's not as clear as what it would be if it was actually a double crochet. So I'm just kind of like wiggling my finger in there. Putting my hook in there. You can either go straight in with a single crochet if you want to, or if you want a bit of extra security with it, you could do a slip stitch and chain 1, and then you would put 2 single crochets through those DC bars, double crochet bars. So I'm going through the front and through the back. There's 1 single crochet, and then I'm going again because each DC bar needs to have 2 single crochets around it. So for me, I've got another double crochet bar to go around. So I'm going to come through the front first and then grab my back piece, wiggle my finger through it and go through the back panel and put 2 single crochets around that next double crochet bar. So keep doing that until you reach your original hexagon shape. So you'll have your corner chain space. So you're just going to put 1 single crochet in the corner chain space. Let me pick up the back piece and go through that too, because we're seaming it together. We need to make sure we're going through both sides. So that's 1 single crochet in the corner. Now we're just going to go through the stitches. You're not going to go through the gaps because that really isn't a stitch. We're going to be going through the stitches. So through the first one on the front and the first one on the back, do a single crochet. Next stitch, through the front, through the back, single crochet. You're just going to keep doing that through every single stitch, being careful not to miss any because you don't want to have a misaligned seam. And yeah, just keep doing that. Oh, if I can get it through there. 1 single crochet through every stitch on both sides until we get to the opposite end. And I'll meet you back here and show you what we're going to do next. Okay, so I'm really close to the end of my seaming and I've got this stitch marker here and it's in the way now, so I'm just going to take that out. I think I've got about 3 stitches left. 3 or 4? 4 stitches. Yeah, it was just getting in the way. So let me just quickly finish off these stitches. More fingers and thumbs now. I feel like I'm losing my tension. This little end, get out of the way, look. I'm trying to do something. Just keeps getting in the way, man. Right, I've got 1 more stitch left to do. Go through that. 1 more single crochet, that ends in the way again. Okay, so we are now going to go around this edge. We're going around the edge, okay? So don't like seam that bit as well because you won't get your arm in it. We are just going to go around the edge with some single crochets. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold it now so it's like this, okay? So we go around that edge. I'm going to chain 1 again just to give me a little bit of extra height. So what am I working with right now? I am now going around some more double crochet bars is what this is. So we're going to do some double crochet bars and then we're going to go back into stitches along here. This is where we added our armhole depth. So remember, we need to put 1 single, oh not 1, just ignore what I just said there. We need to put 2 single crochets around each double crochet bar, DC bar, whatever I call it first. Usually it's a DC bar. We'll stick with DC bar. Right, 2 single crochets around the first DC bar and then 2 single crochets around the next one. And keep repeating that around every DC bar until you get to your stitches. Sometimes you might need to give it a little wiggle just to make sure you're going around the right part of it. But we need 2 around each one. Going around that one, 1, 2, and another one for me. 1, 2, and now I am at the hexagon part. So that's my corner chain space. So in the corner chain space, we're just going to put 1 single crochet. And now I've got stitches to work into. So I'm going through all the stitches with 1 single crochet. Did I say double crochet a minute ago? Well, you know what I mean. We're doing single crochets. We're definitely not working double crochets. This is only thing when you do a video, right? You actually might say things wrong and then you don't know about it until you actually watch it back and then you're like, I'm saying the wrong thing. And that's it. Do you know what I mean? It's done. You can't just go back and like dub over my voice. Well, imagine I could do it, I suppose, maybe. I could go back and I could put on a little voice and go, 1 single crochet. Every time I say double crochet instead of single crochet. Oh, no, I won't do that, sorry. So, right, 1 single crochet around in every stitch. I can't think what I'm saying now. And then you're going to come back to your hexagon part again, where you've got the corner. So 1 single crochet in the corner and then 2 single crochets around each DC bar on the edge. And I'll meet you back here when we get to the end. Okay, so I've gone all the way around the edge. So what I'm going to do, I mean, if you want to, you can try and wiggle a single crochet along the seam, but I'm not going to bother. I'm just going to come straight to that first single crochet and put a slip stitch in there. And that is it. So I'm now going to fasten off. Where are my scissors? Oh, they're over here. I keep jumping from my desk to the sofa because when I've got a bit of crocheting to do, it's all about jumping on the sofa and watching some telly. Okay. So that is one arm seamed. So at the minute, my top is wrong side facing. Let me just zoom out a minute. So if I turned it so it was right side facing, that's the part I've just seamed down here. And then when you fold out your sleeve, because it does look pretty cool folded out, the row of single crochets, or the round of single crochets that you just done, are right side facing, and it just looks so much neater. It does look so much neater. And if you want to as well, before weaving this end in, I'd probably leave this end till the very last, and then you could actually use that to secure the top part of your sleeve if you want to keep it in that position. And you could always add another little tie bit at the bottom and knot it or whatever, just so it secures the sleeve. The sleeve. But yeah, that is how it goes. Nice, lovely, neat edge. So what you're going to do now is do the exact same thing for the opposite side and seam this side exactly the same as how you've just done that one. And then we'll be ready for the next section, which will be back infill rows. Okay, I now have 2 seamed arms. The next section is going to be adding some back infill rows, I call them. I don't know why, I just do. Back infill rows just on the back piece. So we're going to be adding some rows up and down here. You're going to need to go to the description to find the measurement that you need for your back infill row. I'm doing a size small. Mine says roughly 4.5 centimetres. I'm not going to get 4.5 because I seem to be going up in centimetres. I think I'm probably going to aim for 4 with mine. So I'm going to aim for 4 centimetres because I know I won't get that 0.5. But as long as you're close to the measurement, that is absolutely fine. Now, I've noticed one side, which is right side facing, and I've noticed I've got my little tail end here, which means that this one's wrong side facing. So I'm just going to pull it so both of them are right side facing. Otherwise, I'm going to end up putting rows on one of the front bits and one of the back bits, and then when I come to join, I'm going to be like, no, and have to frog one side, basically. So, both of my pieces are now right side facing. Yes. So I'm just going to move that one over to one side, and I'm going to concentrate on this one. So if I fold it out like this, I know that this is my right side of my stitches, so I'm going to need to start at the top of mine. Yours might be different. You might be starting at the bottom. If you're starting at the bottom, you're going to go in the bottom chain space, the corner chain space. But for me, I'm starting at the top. So let me zoom in. It's good to keep your pieces like this because you know that this is both going to be the front side, because basically we're going to be doing a mirror image now. So I'm going to start at the top on this piece, but when I come to do this bit, I'm going to be working from the bottom end. Now, if you find yourself starting from the top on both pieces, you're going to end up with a dodgy cardi that don't quite go together properly. I've done that before as well. I've joined it like, so well, when it's come time to join it, it's like that. And I was like, oh, really? Because I weren't paying attention. So this is where I suggest keep it folded, just gently move this one over here. I'm going to keep it folded so I know that that's my front bit. And when I fold it out, that's my back bit that I'm going to be working on. So this one, I'm going to fold it out. At the minute, my stitches are right side facing me. So like I said, I'm going to be working on this side first to join my stitches in. So let me zoom in. We're just going to go up and down in rows, exactly the same as how we've just been doing them. You should be a pro at this by now. First row has 2 stitches at the end. Next row has just 1 stitch at each end. Next row has 2 stitches at the end. Next row has 1 stitch at the end. So, where is my yarn? What we're going to use, I'm going to go with this one, I think. To be fair, there's not too much difference in my yarns, but I have still been alternating them anyway, just in case. It looks real pretty. I do love oranges and yellows. I've probably said that 50 million times over. Right, where are we? Okay, so I'm having to join mine in the top. So what I'm going to do is I've got my seam. If I just pull it out the other way. I've always got ends getting in the way. Okay, this is my seam. So I'm going to go in the first gap before, or is it before or is it going to be after? It's going to be after, isn't it? Because I'm going to go in that direction. So the first gap after my seam for the sleeve. Obviously that's the shoulder end though, this is. I'm going to attach my yarn with a slip stitch and chain 3, which is your first double crochet. I just put 1 more double crochet back in that same gap. And then we're just going to keep doing 3 doubles in all the gaps while skipping over 3 double crochets. Just continuing with the granny stitch. And we're just going along this back edge. So I'll meet you when we get down to the bottom. Okay, I'm right at the bottom of my row. I've just gone along that one edge and that's it. And I'm going to put my 2 final double crochets in the corner chain space at the bottom. Remember, if you have started at the bottom and worked your way up, then you're going to stop in the first gap before the seam for the shoulder. My voice is going again. Oh my word. Lovely. Right, next row, I'll just go over it quickly, even though I'm pretty certain you know what you're doing now, but we're just going to chain 3, turn our work, and then come to the very first gap and put 3 double crochets in the gap and 3 double crochets in every single gap until you get to the end of the row. I'll meet you here at the end of the row. Okay, so I'm at the end of row 2. I've got 1 gap left to go in, so I'm going to put 3 double crochets in that last gap, and then that leaves me with 2 stitches. 1 is a double crochet and 1 is the chain 3. I'm just going to put 1 double crochet in the top of the chain 3, if I can get in there. I keep struggling to get in my chain 3s during this tutorial. Yeah, we're in. Just 1 double crochet in that final stitch, which is the top of the chain 3. So you're just going to keep repeating those 2 rows like you have done whilst you've been doing the sleeve, the armhole depth, add an extra witch. Add an extra witch? What? No, that's not right. So you need to keep going until you reach your back infill measurement. Mine is 4.5 centimetres, but like I said a minute ago, I keep adding literally a centimetre on every time I add a row on for some reason. I'm working in centimetres, so I'm probably only going to get to 4. My voice is going again. It's actually really hard to see what I've added here. You can kind of see though, it's sticking out there. Because that's where our neck is going to sit, in this area. If you didn't have this section, it's going to be really uncomfortable to wear. So, I know I've added in 2 rows already, because it's actually really hard to see. So we're going to measure from the centre part. So like my armhole's there, as you can see. I know I'm a bit zoomed in, but that's my armhole. I'm going to measure from here. I'm not going to measure at the top. I'm going to measure from the centre. So I've only done 2 rows, but I'm still going to measure it and show you what I mean. 2 centimetres! Woohoo! So I basically need to do like 2 more rows and I'm going to get to 4 centimetres. And then what you're going to do is you're going to do the exact same thing, add the exact same number of rows onto your opposite panel. So remember to flick this bit back and you're working on this because we've got this saved and set up, ready to go and folded. So literally all you have to do is like flip this bit back and go, this is where I'm working on to match this side. So I'm probably going to need to add 4 rows. Obviously it's going to be different for you because you're using different yarn, different hook, different size maybe. But for me, I know it's going to be 4 rows. So 4 rows on this side for me, 4 rows on that side for me, whatever it is for you. And then I'll meet you back here where we're going to join these 2 bits together. And then we haven't really got much to do after that. Just add length and the collar and buttons if you want to add buttons. Exciting. My back infill rows have been added on each side. I ended up adding an extra row on mine, so I did go for 5 rows instead of 4, which I thought I was going to do 4. But yeah, I went for 5 instead. So now we need to join it together. Again, how you join it together is completely up to you. If you've got a way that you prefer, then go ahead and use that method. I'm going to use a join as you go method because I quite like that and the way it looks. So for that, at the minute, I've got my pieces. They are folded, so they are right side facing up. Again, if you want to do this method with them facing the other way, that's completely up to you. But I'm going to be working like on the inside because that is literally the inside right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip these around to a 45-degree angle, if I can fit them in my screen. And then I'm going to work, oh, got a bit of fluff on there, from here to 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 here, just like that. Okay, so what we're going to be doing is basically doing the same sort of pattern on this side where we're going to be putting 3 double crochets in the gaps, but we're going to do 3 double crochets and then we're going to come over to this side and just do a slip stitch in the gaps. And we're going to keep working up and down, up and down, up and down until we get all the way to the end. Now it doesn't matter what your last row was, mine have got the 2 stitches at the end. Even if yours have the 1 stitch at the end, the instructions are going to be exactly the same. So let me just zoom in a little bit more, I think, if I can. Let me get my yarn attached. I think I forgot to mention that I did fasten off when I did my second panel with my infill rows. Okay, so I'm going to start on this bottom. Shall I call this the bottom and this the top from here on out? We're going to call that the bottom, that the top. So pick up your bottom panel and go through your very first stitch with a slip stitch. Now for me, it is a chain 3. So I need to just go in the top of the chain 3. Mine looks a bit weird. I'm just trying to work out why that is. Why does it look weird? Is it a chain 3? No, it's not a chain 3. I'm telling a big porcupine. Mine is a double crochet. That's why it looks weird, because it's not actually a chain 3, it's a double crochet. Right, go through the very first stitch on the bottom panel and attach your yarn with a slip stitch. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. We're going to come to our top panel and we're going to go through the very first stitch and we're going to put a slip stitch through the very first stitch. Now this is a chain 3 for me, the top of the chain 3. So go in the very first stitch and do a slip stitch. Now what we're going to do is we're going to come to the front panel and we're going to come to the very first gap that we have. Whether that's you've got 2 stitches to skip or just 1 stitch, you're going to come to your very first gap and you're going to put 3 double crochets in that gap. So let's put 3 double crochets in the gap of the bottom panel. Like so. We get a little bit more yarn. Now I'm going to come away from the bottom panel and pick up the top panel again. And I'm going to find the very first gap on the top panel and I'm going to put a slip stitch through there. Like so. Now I'm going to come back to the bottom panel, skip 3 double crochets and come to your next gap. And I'm going to put 3 double crochets in that gap. Now I'm going to come to the back panel, or the top panel I mean, sorry. Top panel. I'm going to find the next gap on the top panel and I'm going to put a slip stitch in the gap. And that is all we're going to keep doing. So now I'm going to come to the bottom panel, skip 3 double crochets, come to your next gap and put 3 double crochets in that gap. Come to the top panel, skip 3 doubles and put a slip stitch through the next gap. Again, we'll come to the bottom panel, skip 3 double crochets, come to the next gap and put 3 double crochets in there. Oh, I've got a bit twisted. Let's do that again. 1. Oh, what am I doing? Hang on, let me just do that again because my loop has gone a bit big there. Right, I'm on my bottom panel and I'm putting 3 double crochets in the gap. 1, 2, 3. Lovely. Now I'm going to come to the top panel, skip 3 doubles, come to the next gap and put a slip stitch in there. And we're just going to keep repeating that all the way down. And I'll meet you when we get to the end. But basically it's joining it together to look like this. Which is pretty cool, isn't it? But like I say, if you would prefer to do a different join, then that is absolutely fine. You could do a single crochet just like you did for the sleeves. There's no rules. However you want to do it is completely up to you. So I'll meet you back here when we get near the end. Okay, so I'm coming to the end of my seaming section. I have literally got 1 gap left on the front. I'm a bit blurry there, sorry. 1 gap on the front and 1 gap on the back. I say front and back, it was top and bottom, wasn't it? But now it's kind of turned into front and back because they're just like front, back. Okay, so I'm going to come to my front bit here and I'm going to put my 3 doubles in my last gap. Come to the back panel and put 3 doubles in that last gap. And then you're just going to go into the very... Oh no, what am I doing? That's not right, is it? Why have I just put 3 doubles in there? It's meant to be a slip stitch. Have I been doing that? Please tell me I haven't been doing that. No, I haven't been doing that. It was just this one time. Oh, I nearly had a panic attack, everybody. I thought I'd done the whole thing where I'd just done 3 doubles in the back. Let me just double check. Hang on a minute. No, it's fine. It's fine. Okay, let's do that again. So I've put my 3 doubles in my last gap on the front and then I'm coming to the back and I'm just putting a slip stitch. There we go. Sorry about that, everybody. Okay, so now we're going to come to the very last stitch on the front and I'm going to put 1 double crochet in that stitch. For me, that's the top of the chain 3. Have I gone in it? Not really, no. I like to pick up 2 loops when I go through that. Lovely. And then I'm going to come to the very last stitch on the back panel And I'm going to put a slip stitch in there, if I can get hold of it. Where is it? A slip stitch. Oosh. There we go. And now I can fasten off. Like so. Zoom out a little bit. It's got a bit dark. I've just hung loads of washing out. Like, what? Why is it doing this? It's weather. I mean, it's saying it's meant to get better, but it just keeps raining. And there we have it. That's what it looks like on the inside, you see. It looks a little messy, I think, on the inside. That's why I've done it on the wrong side. And then that's the front. I mean, I can't even find it. Where is it? There it is. You can't even see it, look. Or maybe you can, just slightly. Well, no, you can't, not really, can you? There you go then. How about that? And this is the fun part, because now you can actually try it on. Hey, it's taking shape. Have I zoomed in, zoomed out all the way? Oh yeah, we've got a bit of space. Here we go. There we go, it's taking shape. Yeah, I like that little seam, I do. I do. So the next section is going to be adding length to the bottom. So I just tried mine on and I absolutely love it. Ooh, it's getting me all excited. Right, next section, we're going to be adding some length to the bottom. It's going to be so easy. We're going to be working in the same rows that we did when we done the sleeves, like the armhole depth, where we have 2 stitches at the end, 1 stitch at the end, 2 stitches at the end, 1 stitch at the end. Exactly the same as what we've already been doing. So we are now going to flip our shirts around so they're now upside down, and you're going to want to start again with your stitches wrong side facing, which mine actually are, which is pretty cool. So yeah, we are just going to be going, if I was to open that up, but I can't do it very well obviously because I can't fit it in the screen, we're just going all the way from one edge to the end. And then we're just going to keep going and going and going until you're happy with the length. I want to keep this one quite short, but I do find that this back bit here can sometimes poke out a little bit. So I just want to get that under control, and once I'm happy, I'm going to fasten off. But you can go as long as you want. My other shirt, I made it so it literally like comes to my bum. It's quite a long one, that is. That's why I thought this one, I'm going to keep it short. Maybe I could wear it with some dresses and things like that, do you see? So, right, what are we doing? So for me, my stitches are already wrong side facing. If you want to, you could put stitch markers in these 2 corners so you know where your starting and stop point is. I'll do that now actually and show you. I've got some stitch markers to match that. Oh, pinky orange. So you don't have to do this, but it's just a little guide, isn't it? So you're going to put a stitch marker in the bottom corner on that side and the bottom corner on this side. And then you're just going to go backwards and forwards in between these stitch markers. So for me, I need to start in my pink stitch marker. So let's zoom in. Attach my yarn to my hook. So going in that corner chain space with my stitch marker, I'm going to attach my yarn with a slip stitch, chain 3, and put 1 more double crochet in this corner chain space. Now we're just going to go back to our normal stitch pattern of skipping 3 doubles and putting 3 doubles in every single gap. And we're going to keep doing this until we reach, until I can't seem to say it, until we reach the back infill rows, and then we're going to be working around the double crochet bars. So keep putting 3 doubles in all the gaps, and I will meet you here when we get to the back infill rows. I'm now coming up to the back infill rows. I now have what was the original corner chain space of one of my hexagons. So in that corner chain space, that was a corner, but it's not no more, we're going to put 3 double crochets. And now we're going to be working around the double crochet bars. Okay, so what we're going to do, because you can see we've got our rows going down where we added our back infill rows, we're going to skip the next double crochet bar and we're going to come to the next one, wiggle my finger around it, and I'm going to put 3 doubles around that one. Again, skip the next double crochet bar and go around the next one and put 3 double crochets. Oh, hang on, that's not right. And just keep doing that all the way until you reach the corner chain space again. So skip the next DC bar, go around the next one with 3 double crochets. Skip the next DC bar, go around the next one with 3 doubles. I'm nearly there. Skip the next one, go around the next one with 3 doubles. I think I'm now coming back to my corner chain space. Yep, so I've got one more to skip, a DC bar, and then I'm back to that original corner chain space. Sorry, I didn't realise I was all the way up here. So I'm going to put 3 doubles in my corner chain space. That is no longer a corner chain space, but that's what I'm referring to right now. And then I'm back to my normal pattern of skipping 3 double crochets and putting 3 double crochets in the gap. So I'll meet you back here when we get to the end, but I'm sure you know what you're doing from here on out. But even still, I'll meet you back here soon. I'm at the end of my first row. I've reached my stitch marker and I have a corner chain space. So I'm going to skip my 3 doubles and just put 2 double crochets in the corner chain space. And then next row is the row where you have 1 stitch at each end. So you chain 3, turn your work, come to your first gap, put 3 doubles in there, and 3 doubles in every single gap all the way across. And then your next row is the row where you have your 2 stitches at each end, and then the next row again is the row where you have 1 stitch, 2 stitch, 1 stitch, 2 stitch, blah, 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 blah. You've already done it like 100 times. So you are just going to keep adding rows back and forth in the granny stitch until you are happy with your length. Remember, you can go as long as you wish. I'm just going to keep going until I feel that the back bit here in the middle sits nice. And then next, it's going to be buttons. Buttonhole placements and buttons. The end is near. It is near. I'm so excited. Righty-ho, I only added 3 rows along the bottom of mine and I was happy with the length. Again, like I said, add as many rows as you wish, but I wanted to keep mine short so I can wear it with dresses or dungarees, that sort of thing. Right, next section, we're literally going to be adding 3 rounds of double crochet around the neckline area. The first round is just going to be double crochet. The second round is going to be buttonholes. We're going to add buttonholes. And then the third round is just going to be one more round double crochet. Now, this is a suggestion. You don't have to do this if you don't want to, but I suggest that you should make a little swatch, a buttonhole swatch, basically, to make sure that your buttons will go through okay. Because I actually, on my other shirt, I've got smallish buttons, so I did a row of double crochet, then I did a row of single crochet, and that's how I did my buttonholes, was with the single crochets. Well, it was fine because at the time I had loads of stitch markers in my buttonholes. Once I took the stitch markers out, I'm telling you right now, I cannot find my buttonholes anywhere because I used the single crochet. They've disappeared. They're in there. I know I added them, but they've just gone. I cannot for the life of me find them, which isn't ideal. Now, I don't know if these will work for me now. I really hope they do because I haven't got any other buttons that I want to put on here. So I'm going to do a quick little button swatch. It's not going to take long at all. So if you want to do a buttonhole swatch, follow along. If you're like, no, I'm just going to chance it, and if the buttons don't fit, I'll have to get some new ones, then you can skip to the neckline section. Right, buttonhole swatch. Basically, it doesn't matter how many stitches you do. I'm just going to do like 10, I think, or something. Right, let's just do, I'm going to do 9 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, oh gosh, I'm dropping it. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Then I'm going to chain 3, which is going to be classed as my first double crochet. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to come back to the 4th chain. I've actually got my finger on it so I know where it is. I'm going to put a double crochet in the 4th chain. So this basically classes as 2 double crochets, a chain 3, and a double crochet in the 4th chain. Now I'm going to put a double crochet in every chain going across. I should have 10 stitches, but do you know what? We're not even counting the stitches, so it don't matter if I don't have 10 stitches. Let's just bung some bloomin' double crochets in here. Ooh, more fingers and thumbs. Get some more yarn. I don't know what the heck's going on with my chains. It's like I've done them really big. I did do them loosely, but like, this is looking crazy. Always the way. Right, just put a double crochet in every single chain. I'm not a fan of working at the chains. That's why most of my patterns you might find are like granny square based or hexagon based, because you just literally just get going from the word go, don't you? I'm not a fan of chains and stuff. Mind you, I do foundation double crochet, but even that annoys me. Oh, just doing it annoys me so much. Right, I'm just going to chain 3 because I'm at the end of my row, turn my work. I'm just going to put some more double crochets, 1 more row of double crochets, right, across. Not that I really need to do another row, but just to make it a bit more stable because it feels like it's curling up all over the place. Another row of double crochets. So yes, it really doesn't matter how many stitches you've put in here. But basically for the buttonhole, we're just going to chain 1 and skip a stitch. And we need to make sure that our buttons fit okay in that gap. And that they don't fall out, because I'm not quite sure what mine are going to do just yet. Oh, where are we? Get in there. Final stitch. Okay, I'm going to chain 3, turn. I'm going to put a couple of more double crochets along this row. 1, 2, I'm going to do 3. I'm going to do 3. Right, now I'm going to do my buttonhole placement. So I'm going to chain 1, I'm going to skip the next stitch, and I'm going to put a double crochet in the next stitch. And that's giving us a chain space window, whatever you want to call it. I'm just going to keep putting double crochets all the way across. Last one, if I can get it in, wiggle, wiggle. I'm going to do 1 more row of double crochets. And when I get to my buttonhole, I'm going to put a double crochet in that chain space. This next stitch, here it is. So here's my buttonhole right there. I'm just going to put a double crochet in that chain space. Looks big. I don't know if it's going to work. I don't know if it's going to work for me. I've got all these pretty buttons. I don't even know if it's going to work. I was thinking lilac-y purple buttons, I was. Right, that'll do. I'm not very even and pretty looking, but it's not meant to be pretty looking. We're just testing out this chain space in the middle here to make sure that your button goes through it okay and that it will stay in place, because you don't want to bloom and put all your buttons on and then be like, well, they keep popping off. They keep coming undone. Mine isn't even square. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Right. Oh, have I still got the sticky bits on here? I kept the sticky bits on here just in case the kids got hold of it, because you know what they're like. Oh, what's this? Bless them. They don't mean to. They don't really. But we still get a bit like, what'd you do that for? Oh my goodness. Okay. Don't know. Right, let's have a look. So basically, I'm just going to pop my button through and see what I think. I'm going to come from behind. Obviously, it goes through really well. And it does sit over it. Let me just give it a little wiggle while I'm holding it in the centre. Or sort of. Oh, mine's so close. Do I dare? Do I dare risk it? Well, do you know what? I'm going to go ahead and do it, and I'll put like a couple of buttons in and I'm going to try it on, I think. And then if it don't work, I'm going to have to use some bigger ones. It's real close, isn't it? It's quite a big hole, mine is. Do you know what I mean? Look. It might be alright. It might be alright. It actually might be alright. Let me try to tell myself. I'm trying to convince myself that I can use these buttons. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see, really, I suppose, won't we? But anyway, that's my dodgy buttonhole sample. Right, let's get on to the neckline section, shall we? Okay, so we are now going to do the neckline. But before we start, we need to find the centre stitch. Well, I say the centre stitch. For me, it's going to be like the seam bar. So I did the join as you go method. We need to find the centre seam bar on the back of the neckline. And the reason we need to do that is so that we can evenly place the collar. So we're going to work out where we want our collar to go, put a stitch marker in it, and then we need to count the amount of stitches between the centre back and one side, and then we can mark out the exact same spot on the second side. Does that make sense? So let me just zoom in a bit. I used the join as you go method, so I've got quite a long seam bar to find. Now I know that, because when I'm looking at it, it's quite hard to see it actually, the seam. Well, maybe you can see it, I don't know. Who am I kidding? Anyway, I know that I added 5 infill rows on each side. So my seam bar is going to be like the 6th row. So I'm going to start from here and just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. According to that, that is my seam bar. I'm just going to put a stitch marker around it. And I'm just going to count from the opposite side just to double check that I have got 5 rows this side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Because if we don't get the centre right, then our buttons and everything are not going to line up. And you know how I know this? Because I've just done all this and I didn't quite get the centre for some reason. I put all my buttons, stitch markers in place, everything. And then when I got to the bottom, they did not line up. My last 2 buttons were like, and I was like, oh, why? Why is this happening? But at least I can explain to you, it's very important to get it in the centre. So what we're going to do, right, we're going to do row 1, which is going to be starting from the bottom. Depends what way we're going, let me think. We're going to join it so it's right side facing, because it looks nice, I think. Right side facing. We're going to be doing 3 rows, okay? Starting from the bottom, going all the way up, going all the way round. Row 2, we're going to start placing buttonholes, whichever side. And that's going to be wrong side facing. And then it's going to end with row 3, which is going to be right side facing. So I just like it. So it's like row 1's right side facing where you attach, row 3 you end with a right side facing row. I think it looks neater, but if you want to do it differently, again, like I say, do it differently. It's absolutely fine. Right, let's do it. Okay, row 1 of the neckline. Let me get my yarn ready. So I want to attach this on the right side of the cardie. So for me, that is starting down in the bottom left section. So what I'm going to do is flip my cardie around 45 degrees. And we're just going to be doing double crochets. I feel like I just dropped something on the floor. Yeah, I did. My little tapestry needle. Oh, don't want to lose that. I've only got one that I like to work with. I should probably get some more, really. I've only got one. Right, let me zoom in a little bit. So this is going to be nice and easy, okay? We're going to be working around double crochet bars where we added our extra length at the bottom, and we're going to be putting 2 double crochets around each double crochet bar until we get to our actual stitches, which is part of the original hexagon that we made. And then we're going to be working in the stitches, not the gaps in between the 3 double crochets. So let's find that first edge, that first double crochet bar. Just going to wiggle my finger through it, and I am going to attach my yarn right through there with a slip stitch. Where's the working end? That's not it. No, that's not it. Where is it? It's hiding. Oh my gosh, what's going on? I am coming. I promise. Right, a slip stitch. And then I'm going to chain 3. That's going to class as my first double crochet. And I'm going to put another double crochet in that same spot, around that same double crochet bar. I've only added 3 rows on mine, so I've only got 3 double crochet bars to go around. So coming to my next one, I'm going to put 2 double crochets around that double crochet bar. And I'm going to come to my next one and put 2 double crochets around that. And just keep adding 2 double crochets around each double crochet bar until you reach the original corner space of your hexagon. So you're just going to put 1 double crochet in that corner space. And now we're going to be working just in the stitches only. We're not going in the gaps. We're going in the stitches. So it's just 1 double crochet in every single stitch until we reach the shoulder seam, I do believe. So yeah, 1 double crochet in every stitch, and I will meet you when we get to the first shoulder seam. So I have now arrived at my first shoulder seam. Now this is what it looks like to me. I've got 2 quite large gaps going on either side. It might look a little different for you, but this is how it looks for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put 2 double crochets either side of this seam, and I need to remember that that's what I've done this side, because I'm going to need to do the exact same thing when I get to the other shoulder seam. So just look at yours and see, do I need 1 double crochet before it, or do I need 2? And you decide which one you think's best. So I'm going to put 2 double crochets before the seam. I'm going to skip over the shoulder seam and put 2 double crochets in the next gap. And now I am on to my back infill rows. So again, we're going to be working around the double crochet bars. So that's 2 double crochets around each double crochet bar. So 2 double crochets around the first double crochet bar, 2 double crochets around the next one. I'm going to keep going until I reach my seam bar, because I did the continuous join. I've got my stitch marker in it, so I know where it is. Just putting 2 double crochets around each double crochet bar. I've got one more to do, and then I'm where my seam bar is. So because I did a continuous join, I've got quite a big seam bar here. You've got two options, right? You can either put one double crochet in here, or you can put 3 double crochets and use the second double crochet that you put in there as the center stitch. I'm going with 3 because I think if I just put 1 in there, it's going to create a gap either side. So I'm just going to take my stitch marker out. I'm going to put 1 double crochet. I'm going to do another double crochet, and before I do my third one, I'm just going to pop my stitch marker back in the double crochet that I've just made. So it's the second double crochet that stitch marker's going in, and if I've got it right, that should be my center stitch at the back. And we need this to work out collar placement. That now brings me to my normal double crochet bars. So I'm going to put 2 double crochets around the next double crochet bar. Oop, I'm getting all tied up here. 2 double crochets around the next one, and so on and so forth until we get to that seam bar. Not seam bar, the shoulder seam. All these different seams. To be honest, there isn't really that many seams, is there? So I'm just putting 2 double crochets around each double crochet bar. This is my last one. I do believe it is my last one. All right, let's have a look what we've got going on right here. I'm getting all hooked up. Yeah, okay, so I am now at my seam bar again with those 2 large gaps I have for some reason. So I'm going to replicate exactly what I did at the last seam, the shoulder seam, and that was putting 2 double crochets either side of it. So 2 in there, skip over the shoulder seam and put 2 double crochets on the other side. And now I'm back to working in the stitches. So keep putting 1 double crochet in every single stitch until you reach the original corner chain space down the bottom, and then you put just 1 double crochet in that one, and then you're back to working around the double crochet bars where you're going to be putting 2 double crochets around each double crochet bar. And hopefully you should have, for the stitch marker, the same amount of stitches either side. If you're not sure, count them, because it will save a lot of heartache later on when you work out where you want your buttons to go, and then they hopefully should match. And if you don't count them and they don't match, you're going to be like, why? Why didn't I just count those stitches? I know it's annoying. I'm not keen on counting stitches, but it can save you a bit of time and effort. So I'm going to meet you when we get to the end of row 1, because you just put in 2 double crochets, and yeah, when you get down here around every DC bar, double crochet bar. So yes, I'll meet you when row 1 is complete. Okay, row 1 of the neckline is complete. I'm just going to make a big loop because I don't want to fasten off, but now we need to get some stitch markers and work out collar placement and buttons and buttonhole placement, okay? So, well, obviously if you're changing colour, you might need to fasten off, but I'm sticking with the same colour, so I need to keep my yarn attached. Right, so what we need to do now is we need to try this on and decide where we want our collar to sit. So we need a couple of stitch markers. I've gone for 2 blue because I'm going to have a lot of stitch markers going on, and I'm going to decide, well, I've decided that I'm going to have 2 matching colours for my collar, so I can look at it and go, yeah, the 2 blues, that's my collar placement. Right, so I'm now going to show you how I just randomly decide where I want my collar to go. So the way that I find my collar placement is by putting my shirt on and using a mirror, really, and just thinking, right, where do I want it to start? Normally I kind of line it up like with my chin, like if I was making a hood, I'd kind of want it like in line with my chin sort of thing. So I'm feeling quite good there where I've just gone. I quite like a collar, a big collar. So I'm going to go right there. So just ignore me a minute because you're going to see like 100 double chins probably. I need to look down and put the stitch marker in the stitch where my finger is. I'm going to keep all my double chins out. I might have to readjust that because I know I haven't quite gone through the stitch, but that gave me a funny head doing that. Oh. So I'm just placing one stitch marker at the minute. I'm going to take this off and I'll show you what I'm going to do next. So I'm just going to lay my shirt out again, and this is where this centre stitch marker is going to come in handy. Hopefully you've double checked you've got the right amount of stitches each side, because otherwise you're just going to enter a world of heartbreak when you go to add on your buttons and the bottoms don't line up. I'm good, I'm all good to go this time, thank goodness. Right, let me just zoom in a little bit. Okay, so I have my centre of my collar right here at the back. So I can't even think what I'm saying right now. And this is where I want my collar to start. I didn't quite put it through the stitch, so I'm just going to redo that a minute. I want it to go through the stitch because we still need to add a couple of rows on here, and we're going to have to move this stitch marker with each row that we add. So the plan is we need to count how many stitches there are from this stitch marker all the way up to the centre stitch marker, and then we can count the exact same amount of stitches on this side and place the other stitch marker on this side, and then we will have the collar placement ready to go. So I'm going to do that off camera because you don't need to see me going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, blah, 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 blah. So I'll meet you back here when we have 2 stitch markers in place. Okay, so I've just placed my second stitch marker. I had 30 stitches from this stitch marker to the centre. And so I counted 30 stitch markers from the centre all the way down here and placed my next stitch marker. Now, all being well and good, I should hopefully have the same amount of stitches going all the way down to the bottom. I haven't checked, maybe I should. I did check before and it was right, but maybe I should just quickly double check. I think I'm going to double check quickly before placing buttonholes because I don't want to go through those heartbreak again in placing everything and then being like, oh, it's not lining up. So just give me a second. Yeah, I've counted all my stitches going all the way down to the bottom on each side, and they are the same. For a minute there, I miscalculated and had more on one side than the other, just by one stitch. Do you know, if you find yourself in that situation, do not beat yourself up about it. The best thing that you can do is just bodge it. Do you know what I mean? Just come to the side that you've got more or less stitches on and just miss one stitch off the side or add an extra stitch somewhere. It is not going to be the end of the world. No one's going to know, and you'll probably forget about it as soon as you put this on and go, oh man, this looks amazing. So sometimes we have to bodge things in life. I'm a serial bodger when I crochet, and I'm proud to admit it because I bodge it and then I just move on. And then I forget that I've even done it. Right, getting back now. Buttonholes. Now you can put your buttons wherever you wish. Now I'm going to replicate what I did on my first shirt because I actually quite like how that does up. I quite like the gaps that I've used. I was a bit random with it, I've got to be honest, which you're now about to see. So let me just get it out. I've got it here ready and waiting. Right, let me just put it over the top of this one, if I can. I've made this one much, much longer than the one that I'm making right now. So, as you can see, I have put a button right underneath the collar and then one kind of close to that, and then I have a bigger gap, and from there on out I then have that same gap all the way near the bottom. I haven't gone right down to the bottom. I left about that much on mine because it's quite a long shirt, so I left quite a bit at the bottom. So I'm going to measure all this out and I'm going to replicate this for this shirt. So I know that I literally went right under my collar for the first button. So let me get my stitch markers. You're going to need quite a few stitch markers. Let's zoom in a little bit. Can't zoom in too far though, because otherwise you might not see what I'm doing. Just trying to find stitch markers that are going to show up. But so this is my collar placement that's going on. It don't look even at the minute, but that's just how I've laid it out. So don't worry about that. Oh, everything's fallen off. Everything's fallen off the table because I've got this massive shirt on here. So I know my first one is pretty much underneath the collar. I think I'm going to go like, I'm going to skip a stitch and then I'm going to go in the next stitch with mine. Like I say, you don't have to do this if you don't want to. We're going to put a stitch marker in the same stitch on each side, because one side you're going to have the button and the other side you're going to make a buttonhole. And we're going to be making the buttonhole on the next next row, sorry, working in rows, not rounds. So let me skip a stitch and put another stitch marker on this side. That is my top button. Doesn't matter if they match, just the colours. I already know that blue is right at the top. That's my collar placement. Right, I am going to get my shirt and I'm going to measure with a tape measure the distance between these two buttons because I like what I've done. I'm happy with it. I know it works okay, so I'm just going to do it again. You can obviously put your buttons wherever, like I've just said, or you can copy what I'm doing. It's completely up to you. So my top button to the next button is bang on 4 centimetres, okay? So let me get another stitch marker. Starting from this stitch, where I've got my second stitch marker in here, my first button that one is, I'm going to go down 4 centimetres. Okay, so that's going to bring me to this stitch here. Let me just put my finger here. I'm going to put a stitch marker through that. Like so. My voice is going. Right, let me get another stitch marker. Now I'm going to count how many stitches there are from this white stitch marker to this pink stitch marker that I feel like you might not be able to see too well because it kind of matches the shirt, doesn't it? But I'm going to count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so I'm going to come to this side and start from the white stitch marker and count down 7 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I'm going to put my stitch marker through there. So that's 2 buttons and 2 buttonholes that we now have measured out. Right, the next measurement. This is where I then go into bigger gaps in between. So I'm going to measure from these 2 buttons. The measurement that I used is 8 centimetres. So I've doubled it up. 8 centimetres. Right, let me get another stitch marker. Starting from the stitch marker that I've just placed, I'm going to measure down 8 centimetres. And that brings me to this stitch here. So let me keep my finger on it whilst I get my stitch marker out. And I'm going to put a stitch marker through there. I'm going to do exactly, oh, can you even see me? I've kind of come off the bottom of the screen, that's because I'm zoomed in. So the distance between these two are 8 centimetres. So I'm going to do exactly what I've just done. I'm going to grab a stitch marker. I'm also going to count how many stitches there are between this one and this one, so I can then put it on the opposite side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. No, I can't allow that. I'm sorry, I don't like the number 13. I'm going to put it back 1 to 12. I just can't allow that. I can't walk around in a shirt that's got 13 stitches in between the buttons. It's just not happening. I'm sorry. Right, 12. We've got to, everything's fine. We've gone down to 12. Right, I'm going to count these ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I'm a little bit superstitious, if you hadn't guessed already. So from here on out, I'm going to keep counting down 12 stitches and then placing the buttons until I get near the bottom. You don't really want one at the bottom, do you? Because I don't think I've ever known a shirt that has a button right at the bottom. It normally has a little bit of a gap. But if you want to add one at the bottom, you can, like, it's up to you. I need a couple more stitch markers. Doesn't matter if they match colours. For some reason they have been so far, but that doesn't really matter if they match or not. So I'm going to keep going down and counting 12 stitches and placing a stitch marker either side. And then I'll get back to you once I've placed all my stitch markers. Right, I've done all of my placements for my buttons and my buttonholes. I've got this at the bottom left, which is fine for me. Do you know what? I didn't check that I had the right amount of stitches each side actually. But I should have, because I've already checked it from there. I'm going to count it one more time just to be sure, just to be certain before we start. I'm going to count just to make sure that I have the right amount of stitches. I'm pretty certain I do, but I'm just going to double check. You are not going to believe how many stitches I have from here to the bottom. Did you guess it? 13! Are you kidding me right now? What? That's like it's saying, no, you have to have the number 13. I'm just going to have to do it, okay? I'm just going to have to get over it. Because I am not doing this again. I'm not doing this again. Ah! Right, it's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. I hope. Everything's going to be fine. Oh, why is this happening to me? Naughty, naughty stitches. Okay, all right, let's just carry on. Hopefully I'll forget. Let's try not to talk about it no more. Don't mention it no more, okay? It's done, it's done. Now, I'm going to be placing my buttonholes just like I have done on here. So, we are starting row 2 and we're going to be working from this side. Literally. So I'm immediately going in and doing buttonholes. And then when I come back round the top, this is going to be buttons. I don't need to do anything for buttons, but I do need to keep my stitch markers in place so I know where my buttons are going to go. Now, if you want to do your buttonholes this side and have your buttons this side, then basically what we're going to be doing, like I just said, buttons, you're just going to be doing stitches, double crochets into the stitches with the stitch markers. We're just going to pretend that the stitch markers aren't there, but we are keeping them in place. When you come round to the buttonhole section, when you get to your stitch marker, the stitch with the stitch marker in it needs to be skipped. So you're going to do a chain 1, skip next stitch, double crochet in the next stitch, and that's going to form your buttonhole. So if you want them on the opposite side, that's what you're going to need to do. But I am having my buttonholes on this side. So as soon as I reach my first stitch marker, I need to place a buttonhole. Right, let's do it. Finally, we're doing row 2. Right, continuing where we left off, which is down here. Let me zoom in. We're going to chain 3, turn our work around, so we're now working on the wrong side. Oh, I've just lost a load of stitch markers. I've just knocked them off. I've got to try and find where my yarn is as well. Sorry everyone, obviously I've been attached, I've been trying it on, I've been picking it up, and now my yarn has got all... Oh, I'm bashing into everything. My yarn's got tangled. I'm so prepared, aren't I? You're just like, get on with it. I'm ready. Hurry up, stop talking. Sorry, I'm coming. Okay, right. That chain 3 is classing as my first stitch. So I'm now going to put 1 double crochet in every single stitch until I reach my stitch marker. Because that is where I'm going to be starting my buttonholes. Get in there, 1 double crochet in every stitch. Now I'm coming up to my first stitch marker. Okay, I've reached my stitch marker. So we're going to chain 1. And then we're going to skip the stitch with the stitch marker in it and go in the next stitch with a double crochet. And that has made your buttonhole. Just hope my buttons will stay done up with my buttonhole, because I really, really, really want to use them. I don't have any nice big ones. Well, I do have some nice big ones, but not like what I want to be. Mind you, I could always order some quickly, I suppose. Amazon's amazing for that, isn't it? So terrible with Amazon. Okay, I'm not even talking about what I'm doing. I'm just putting a double crochet in every single stitch until I reach my next buttonhole, which is now coming up again. So I'm at the stitch with a stitch marker in it. I'm going to chain 1, skip the stitch with the stitch marker in it and put 1 double crochet in the next stitch. And then keep putting double crochets in every single stitch until you reach the next stitch marker. So keep doing that until you get up to here, where you have your final button and where your collar is going to start. So I'm going to meet you just before we get here, okay? Okay, so I now have reached the area where I have 2 stitch markers close together. So that is my top button, and that is where my collar is going to start. So I need to chain 1, skip the final button hole, stitch marker, whatever you want to call it, and go in the next stitch with a double crochet. Now this next stitch is where my collar is going to start. So what I'm going to do is I am going to put a double crochet in there. I'm just going to take out my hook and I'm going to take out the stitch marker and I'm going to put it in the stitch that I've just created, right through the top of the stitch that I've just created, because that is my collar placement. That is the stitch that I want my collar to start in. So now we're just going to keep putting double crochets all the way around until we get to the opposite side. But when we get to this centre stitch marker, we can actually take that out because we don't need it no more. I'm going to take mine out right now. It's done its duties. We don't need it in there no more. Actually, I like to keep my stitch markers open because just grab them. It's just harder if they're done up, isn't it? So 1 double crochet in every single stitch, and I'll meet you here when we get to the next stitch marker, which is where the collar begins on the opposite side. Just keep adding your double crochets in every single stitch around the back neckline. And I'll meet you when we get to these 2. Right, I have now coming back down the other side and I have reached my collar placement stitch marker. So I'm going to put 1 double crochet in that stitch. I'm just going to take my hook out. I'm going to remove the stitch marker and put it in the top of the stitch that I've just created, like so. So we are now coming up to the button section, and that's nice and easy. So I've got 1 double crochet in my next stitch. I've now reached my stitch marker, which is going to be a button, not a buttonhole. I don't know if I just said buttonhole. So all I'm going to do is put 1 double crochet in that same stitch, and I'm also keeping the stitch marker in its original place because that's where my button is going, right where that stitch marker is. So I'm just coming to the next stitch and continuing with double crochets, and that's all you're going to do down this side is just keep putting double crochets in every single stitch and also keeping the stitch marker in the stitch that is already in. You don't need to touch them, we just need to work around them. Says me, and it's getting in the way. Move out the way, stitch marker. So yeah, that's it. Keep adding your double crochets in every single stitch, and I will meet you down the bottom end to start row 3. Just move my sweet pack out of the way. No, I'm not eating sweets. You caught me. Right, row 3, lovely and easy. We are just going to be putting 1 double crochet in every single stitch and chain space. Now why I'm saying and chain space is because that's when we get to the buttonhole section. So we're going to chain 3, turn our work around, and just keep putting 1 double crochet in every stitch. Obviously you're going in the next stitch for this one because your chain 3 is classing as your first stitch. So 1 double crochet in every single stitch, and I will meet you when you get to the first stitch marker for your collar placement. That's just 1 double crochet in every single stitch. Okay, so I'm now at the stitch marker for the collar placement. So I'm going to do exactly what I did before. Put 1 double crochet in the same stitch as the stitch marker. Remove my hook. Remove the stitch marker and put it in the top of the stitch that I've just created. And that is the last time I've got to do that, because next time we're going to be working into it to make the collar. And that's not far away. Right, keep putting 1 double crochet in every single stitch until you reach the next stitch marker for the collar placement on the opposite side of your shirt. Right, I'm now on the opposite side. Oh gosh, I've got hooked up. And I'm at the collar placement stitch marker. So I'm going to put 1 double crochet in the same stitch as a stitch marker. Remove my hook. Remove the stitch marker. And put it in the top of the stitch that I've just created. And that's the collar placement sorted for now. So I'm now about to go down the buttonhole section. So I've got a stitch here. I'm going to put a double crochet in the stitch. And when you reach your buttonhole placement, you're going to put 1 double crochet in the chain space. And then continue putting 1 double crochet in every stitch until you reach your next buttonhole, where you will then put again 1 double crochet in the buttonhole, so like in the chain space. I'm back there again to my next chain space, so I'm going to put 1 double crochet in there, and now I'm back to my stitches, so 1 double crochet in every stitch, and keep doing that all the way down until you get to the end, and then you can fasten off. And that's that bit done. Woo-hoo-hoo. We're getting there, everyone. Right, so what we need to do now, well, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to remove the stitch markers for the buttonhole placement, okay? Because we're done with that. Our buttonholes are done. We can now remove these stitch markers. Do not remove your collar stitch marker at the top. And do not remove your button stitch markers either. Otherwise you're going to have to find the placements for them again, and you're going to be like, oh no, what have I done? Why have I done that? Okay, so buttonhole stitch markers are good to come out because that section is done and dusted. So let's get them out of there. Still see your buttonholes nice and clear, thank goodness gracious me. And now we need to attach our buttons. I just hope mine stay on okay. They are a little bit small, but if that is the case, then I will get some new ones in a bigger size. Probably, what size are these? I can't remember what size they are. Oh gosh, I forgot. I've got them in my childproof stickers on the side here, haven't I? Stop the kids getting in there. Now I actually got these because I thought that the purpley lilac colour would look amazing. And I'm absolutely right, so yeah. But are they going to stay on? That's the question. Are they going to pop off? Oh no, I don't know. I think I'm going to need some bigger ones. Ah, how annoying. How annoying. Where's my tape measure? Hiding somewhere. Oh, here it is. I'm just going to measure my button and see how big it is. My button is, yeah, I thought so, 1.5 centimetres. I could do with like a 2 centimetre button really, or 2.5, would that be huge? But yeah, 1.5, I could probably do with 2 centimetre if they do them. But I'm going to attach a couple and just see how we go. So attaching buttons, you're going to need a needle that your buttons can go through. I don't think I even mentioned that on the things that we need, and I always forget something. So let me see if this needle will go through. Yes, it does. Lovely jubblies. Right, next up is attaching buttons. Okay, adding the buttons is super easy. Oh no, where's the... Oh no, where have I put my needle? Oh, it's here. It is super easy, I promise. Okay, so we're just going to need a little bit of your yarn of choice. Not too much, to be honest. Where's my scissors? Snip. I'm just going to feed that through the yarn, through the needle. So what I'm going to do is I need my buttonhole to go through this stitch right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to like keep the stitch marker there just for a minute. I'm going to hold this kind of where the stitch marker is. Before I do that, actually, I'm just going to come through the back. I've come right through the back. I'm going up and I'm going to pull my yarn through and just stop to leave a little bit of a tail. Sorry, that just got a bit blurry. It's because I'm real close to the camera. That's why I've zoomed in. Now I'm going to come through the other side. More fingers and thumbs. Yep, and I've come through and I've managed to hook it around the stitch. So I'm just going to do that a few times until I think, yep, that's nice and secure. Or you might be able to stop because you can't get your yarn to go through no more. Normally I do it about 3 times. So let's do it one more time and see how it is. Like that. So I've gone through mine 3 times using my yarn that I've been working with all this time. I'm just going to take my little hook out, and then what I like to do is I like to give it a double knot to secure it. What have I done here? I've always done something, haven't I? Oh, there we go. I just haven't pulled it tight. I had a bit of a loop. So now I like to give it a double knot just to secure it. And then when I'm done, I weave in all my ends. But my plan of action right now is to try this on, do the button up, jump about like a loon, and just see if it stays done up. Because it's quite questionable whether it will or not. So before, normally I'd say remove your stitch marker and then there you go, and there's your button. But I'm just going to keep mine in place for a minute because I don't know. Do you know what? It might be all right actually. It might be okay. But I need to just go try it on and do a bit of movement. See it just come out then. Oh, maybe it's not okay. Maybe it's not okay for me. Maybe I need bigger buttons. Pray for me while I go try it on, please, everybody. Wish me luck. So the inevitable happened, like I knew it would. I need bigger buttons, unfortunately. So I've got out my pack of Old Faithfuls that I use these all the time. I got them from Amazon and they're just mixed wooden buttons. You get like lots of different designs going on. Like that. I've gone for these ones, I think. That's what I'm going to use. But I will link these in the description. Then ones that's quite pretty. And then ones like that. They're probably might go actually. Oh no, I'm not feeling that. So I'm going to go with these ones, I think. I hope. And they'll be fine. I know they'll be fine because they're 2.5 centimetres, these are. Gutted about me other ones, I am. Don't know why I bought them so small. But do you know what? It's how it is sometimes, isn't it? It's how it is. They were all right on my other ones, on my other shirt, because I used a single crochet for my buttonholes, and then I lost the buttonholes, so then I've been shoving the buttons through the double crochets and all over the place, so they stay all right, they stay done up. Whereas now I've actually made proper good deep buttonholes. The buttons are too blooming small. Never mind. We will now continue. So basically how I just did the button, you're going to do it on every single place where your stitch marker is. And then that's the buttons done. Well, hey. Okay, all my buttons are on. Oh, I've still got a stitch marker in there. Look. I've been a good girl. I've weaved all my ends in, apart from this little one on the corner, and some on my sleeves because I am going to tack my sleeves, if want for a better word. That's the only word I can think of to use. But I am going to tack them to keep them folded up. That's completely optional, but we're not doing that right now. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. Now we have to do the collar, and the collar is so easy, okay? So we're going to be working on the wrong side, so on the inside. So that's going to be this side for me because I am right-handed. So I'm going to be joining my yarn right here in this stitch marker, and it is going to be so easy, okay? Really easy. Let's do it. Okay, so we are going to join our yarn on the wrong side in our stitch marker. Now I'm going to do a stacked double crochet because the chain 3, it's all right when you're doing your granny stitch and all that, but it can look a little gappy when you're just working with double crochets. So I want to avoid a gap. So what I'm going to do for my stacked double crochet is I've got my yarn on my hook with a slip knot. I'm going to yarn over and just keep my finger on those 2 loops right there. I'm going to put my hook into the stitch, yarn over, and now I'm going to make a double crochet. So I'm going to pull at that one through like so. I've got 3 loops on my hook. I'm going to yarn over, I'm going to go through my first 2, and then I'm going to yarn over and go through my last 2. And there we go. Lovely jubbly. So I'm a bit over here. And there we go. That is it. So now we're literally just going to put 1 double crochet in every single stitch until we reach the next stitch marker. So yeah, I'll meet you when we get all the way down to here. I'm now at my, oh lovely, oh look at that. Oh, that's because I was sorting out some yarn yesterday. Look at that little pretty end. Sorry, move that out of the way. Right, I'm now at my stitch marker. So I'm just going to put 1 double crochet in my stitch marker. And that's my first row done. Now basically, we're just going to keep going backwards and forwards, adding rows of double crochet until you're happy with the length of your collar. It is that easy. So what I'm going to do, because I'm not doing a chain 3 at the beginning of each round, you can if you want to. I'm going to be doing from here on out at the beginning of my round, a row, sorry, is a stacked single crochet. I'm going to show you it just quickly now, but I do have a tutorial for it, which I will link in the description. So if you're like, what was that? You can go down, click on the link and have a look at a more in-depth tutorial on how to do it. It just helps eliminate the gap that a chain 3 can cause when it is classed as a double crochet. So I'm doing a stacked single crochet, which means I am going to turn my work and I'm going to put 1 single crochet straight into this same stitch that I'm already in, like so. Then I'm going to come to I can't remember if it's the second or first loop, but do you know what, it don't matter. I'm just going to come to my first loop and do a slip stitch, and then I'm going to do one more single crochet, bosh, and that is a stacked single crochet. So now I'm just going to keep doing double crochets in every single stitch, and that's it. We're just going to keep adding rows of double crochet until you are happy with the length of your collar. Now in the next clip, my collar is going to be complete, and I will give you my measurement of what I went for. So you can use that as a guide if you want to. You can work yours to my measurement and be like, yeah, that's cool, I like that. Or you can just do your own thing and make it as long as you want it to be. So I will meet you back here when you have your collar. Just remember, you're just doing backwards and forwards rows of double crochet, and that's it. Right, I have done my collar. I've just tried it on. It looks so cute, so cute. Like done up all the way to the top using all my buttons, and also not done up, so having it open. Oh my gosh, it looks so cute. I think maybe because it's like I've done a shorter version. I don't know, but I'm so excited to wear this as part of my normal outfits of the day, whatever, doing school runs and all that sort of stuff. Right, so this is how much I added on for my collar. I did 10 centimetres. That's quite a big collar. For my other shirt that I've showed you a little while ago when I was doing the buttons, I added on 8 centimetres. This one, I got a bit carried away, and then when I checked it, I was like, oh, I'm 2 centimetres over. Should I just try it on? I tried it on, I was like, yep, I love it. So 8 to 10 centimetres, you could try aiming for. That's it. I'm going to fasten off the collar. But oh, where's my scissors? Over here. Yeah, it did look amazing. Almost done now, literally. Just a couple of bits to finish off. And that's it, it's done. Love it. This is going to be a lovely summer staple. Oh gosh, I've got yarn everywhere because I just tried it on. I just had a massive bit of yarn everywhere, whatever. So there we are. You just got to remember when you weave your ends in on your collar, to weave them so they are under this bit, because I think on my other shirt I weaved them in not thinking straight. On this way, because I was like, oh yeah, that's the inside. No, it's not, it's on the outside. So one side of my collar kind of sits up a little bit where I weaved my ends in and pulled it a bit tight, and now it does that. If you can see that. But I could always have a go at blocking it. I've not even blocked that other one yet. I am a bit of a serial non-blocker, and that's fine, you know. I don't mind that I'm a bit of a serial non-blocker. Whatever. Lovely. Okay, so I'm just going to weave my ends, and I also took my stitch markers out when I tried it on that were for my collar. I took them out because I wanted to see what it looked like when I tried them on, or tried it on. So I'm just going to weave in a couple of ends, and then what we're going to do, if you want to do this, you can. If you don't, you can skip this. But I'm just going to go along the bottom edge and do single crochet row. Just one single crochet row. Where's my remote to turn the camera off? Oh, hang on, I forgot my hook. It's over here. It's on the sofa. Right, let me come back again. So I'm just going to add one single crochet row along the bottom. You don't have to if you don't want to, but I'm just going to do that just to finish it off. So I'm going to turn it upside down. I'm going to be working on the right side, so I'm going to be starting from here. Let's get my yarn ready. Zoom in a little bit. This is just going to be really, really easy and simple. So we have double crochet bars that we're going to be working around first, where we added the neckline section in. So it's just going to be exactly what we have been doing. We're going to be putting 2 single crochets around each double crochet bar. I'm just going to attach mine with a single crochet. So I'm just going to go straight around that first double crochet bar, yarn over and do a single crochet. Bosh, just like that. I'm going to put 1 more single crochet around that same double crochet bar. Come to my next one, put 2 single crochets around that one, and just keep doing that until we reach the stitches. What is this bit right here? Okay, so I am now at my stitches. So I've got 2 stitches to go in here. Hang on. What if it is a chain 3? So I've got to just wiggle it in the top of the chain 3. If I can. I don't know why I keep struggling to get this through my chain 3s. Ugh! Maybe it's because I'm using a bigger hook with a thinner yarn. I don't know. So I'm now at the stitches. I'm just going to put 1 single crochet in every single stitch all the way around until I reach the neckline on the opposite side, and then I will do exactly what I've just done, where I've put 2 single crochets around each double crochet bar. And that's it. And then I'm going to fasten off. And then the last thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to, like I said earlier, I don't even know if this is the right word, but tack my sleeves in place because I want my sleeves to permanently stay folded up. If you would rather that you could choose to have them as they are or fold them up, then you can skip that part. But I do want them to permanently stay folded up because I really like the way it looks. And then we're going to be done. Woo! So yeah, I'll meet you back here once you've gone all the way around, and then we will just have a look at the sleeves, and then that's it. Right, last bit. I am just going to tack my sleeves in place because I like them as they are like this. I want them to stay like that and not come unfolded. So I'm just going to have a little look. I think I quite like the length that is at right now. So I've got 2 of my squares going on here. Not squares, what are they called? Granny stitches. 2 groups of 3 double crochets. So I might use that as a guide for my next side because obviously I want them to match. I have got 2 ends here that I've not weaved in. So I am going to get my needle and I'm going to poke them through, right through to the wrong side, and I'm just going to tie them in a little double knot, and that's going to be that bit. And I'm probably going to do like hook some yarn around here at the bottom as well, just to keep the bottom bit in place. Hopefully that's going to be all right, and if it's not, well then I'll tack it here as well and on the opposite side. But for now I'm going to go for top and bottom and see if it's all right. But then if that bit starts to do that, then I know I've got to add another little bit here in the centre. Maybe I should just add another bit in the centre. I don't know. Let's just go top and bottom first and see what will happen. I wonder if I can poke both of these through at the same time. Let's have a look. It's quite good I got 2. So what I'm going to do is literally just kind of come inside myself. Oosh, about there. If I pull them tight, is that going to be all right? I think so. I think so. And I'm just going to fold it here. Here are my 2 pieces on the opposite side, well on the inside. I'm going to put a little double knot in them just to secure it. Kind of like what I did when I done the buttons. 1, 2. And then I can weave these ends in just to secure it a bit more. I'm going to get another bit of yarn. It's going to give me loads of ends. But I want them to stay how they are. I like it like that. So for this bit, I'm going to cut 1 piece of yarn. And I'm going to thread it through like how I'd done the buttons. I think I'm going to come from the inside and just kind of do a little loopy thing. You're probably like, what's she talking about? Let me just turn this round a minute. Make sure I'm still happy with how it looks. So I'm going to use my fingers as a guide. I'm just going to go through the wrong side, just like how we did with the buttons. This is what I'm going to treat it as, like I'm putting a button in. So I'm going to just pull that out and leave a tail like that. And then I'm just going to like move maybe like a couple of millimeters across from where I've just come out and go back in. I might just do that one more time. So go out, go in. Oh, it just fell out of my needle anyway, look. And then I'm going to do exactly what I've just done with my two ends and put a double knot in to secure them. And then I will weave those ends in. Like so. So that is how it's looking. Let me just put my hand through it and give it some of this action. I think, do you think it will be all right? Or do you think it might, that's what I don't want it to do, is go like that, you see. Do you know what? I'm just going to do it. I'm here. If I say, oh, I can do that at a later date, I will not do it. Like if I find a end on a bit of a jumper or something, or a sweater that I've already finished, I'm like, yeah, that's staying there for the whole of eternity. Like that project is done. I am not getting my tapestry needle out and weaving in that one end. It's terrible, isn't it? But I'm just like, nah, that's done. That end has to stay there forever. And some of them are really awkward, actually. Some of my ends are like on the neckline or something, and I have to keep tucking them in all the time. Really deep down, I'm thinking to myself, why don't I just weave them in? Probably only take me about 10 seconds. So I'm going to put one here as well and on the opposite side just to help secure it. And then I won't be wondering, oh, is that gonna go weird? Is that gonna unfold itself? We've just dealt with it before it even gets a chance to do that. Let me just go for it one more time. And then back through to the inside. It's gonna give me, so what, eight ends to weave in on each sleeve. Just don't add the ends up, okay? Because that's just silly talk. That's silly. We don't need to know how many ends we're gonna have to weave in. What am I doing to myself? Flip it round. I'm gonna put one in this side as well. Sorry, I'm going to sit down and watch a bit of telly while I'm weaving in my ends, and then you don't even realise that you're doing it, do you? Right, so I'm going to put one in the centre of here. So come out through the top. Make sure I leave a tail. Hang on a minute, that's better. Go back to the inside. Do it one more time just to help secure it. There we go. And then just tie it in a little double knot. I'm going to repeat the exact same thing for the opposite side, making sure that I have them pretty even as I can get them. There we go, that ain't going nowhere now, is it? And then I'm going to weave my ends in, and then it's done. So before I disappear, I am just going to say a quick thank you for following along for another tutorial. Yeah, I'm going to show you in a minute what it looks like modelled as well. So yeah, if you like what you see, I would love it if you could like and subscribe, because that helps keep my channel going, and your views and your support helps me to keep creating this content, basically, because yeah, it just does. So yeah, thank you for your support, everybody. Right, until next time, bye.